be right, it wouldn't do it.
We had a clock radio like that, and we used it in the kitchen for the dogs to listen to when we were wandering the dog. And it was set itself, and it was always off like a week or a day or two or something like that. Can't remember if it was a full week or not. But.
I was wondering if you were gonna make it.
Oh, we missed it.
Oh! Hey, Dave.
Just like a bad penny, you can't get rid of me.
Nickel inflation.
We don't need this street address. I'm gonna pass out
To verify.
Yeah, it was just do the name and they don't have to write their act, just the name of the street, they don't have to say the name.
Yeah.
I would imagine I know where most of the folks are gonna come, but that are here for this.
Can we just sign
What
your
street?
name and we'll pass it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Turned on. If that was Tom flipping his paper, or if that was the door open. It had to have just been you, Tom. You didn't do anything wrong, it is.
There's people out in the hall there too, though.
Oh,
There's somebody talking.
all right. I'll give folks a second to come in.
They wanna know your street also, but,
They do.
Hello.
I didn't listen.
There wasn't anyone else out there, Chief, was there, coming in, pulling in, or?
No.
It's 6 o'clock, so we're gonna get started. And we'll call to order the public hearing for this evening in regards to complaints relative to Days Auto Salvage and Cass's Towing on Summersworth Road. Just so everyone is aware, there's some more folks coming in, so I'm gonna hold off and give you my spiel just for a moment then. So I don't have to say it twice. Okay, so we are opening the public hearing. The purpose is to deal with complaints that we have received from several residents regarding towing activities at Cass's Towing and Dave's Auto Salvage in Summersworth Road. This meeting is of the Select Board of the Town of Rollinsford. If you have comments to make, you need to make them to the Select Board. I will not tolerate people arguing with one another in the audience. If you do that, police are here and I'll have you removed. So everyone's on the same page. And if you calm down, you can come back in. I'm not here to stifle what you have to say, but you'll say it to the Select Board, not yelling at each other, okay? Everyone understands that? Our Building Code Enforcement Officer, Mr. Clark, is here. Tom, do you mind coming up and sort of setting the stage for us, and then we'll open it to, actually the chief can then present, and then we'll open to anyone else who wants to come on, to come and speak. Sure.
My name's Tom Clark, building official, code enforcement for the town. This began back, I believe, mid-June, when Mr. Cassinelli requested the application for renewal of the motor vehicle license. At the time, we had an outstanding issue with the state Department of Environmental Services, and they had some concerns about recycling. He hadn't removed some vehicles, etc. So he has since solved that. He removed the stuff, corrected the violation, and received a letter of compliance from the state. But in the meantime, we received some complaints about the hours of operation, and the biggest thing from my perspective, based on the licensing, is that there's a requirement for the hours of operation to be between 8 AM and 5 PM Monday through Saturday. And some of the complaints stated that there was vehicle activity, well, after those hours, in the early morning hours actually, and that there have been some complaints made to the police department. So in looking into that, we determined, well, we didn't determine, I guess, that's one of the questions, is when the license was first issued, it was for a motor vehicle junkyard with ancillary towing, not a separate towing service. So that's something that we had to determine whether or not that's a separate business that needs to come to the planning board for approval, or if it's a logical extension or an accessory to Days Auto Salvage. And in doing that, I think we need to make a determination whether the hours have to be expanded or enforced. So in a nutshell, I guess that's it.
Chief, do you want to, I know you have some things you want to present to us.
Well, since Cast Towing, the new owners took over for Days Auto and started Cast Towing, this represents every single call of service that we've had involving either Cast Towing, Days Auto Salvage, or his employees. In our computer system, which only goes back to 2001, we have 394 total entries on either business and or the people associated with the business. We've had complaints from neighbors during that time. We've arrested several of their employees over the years for fighting with their neighbors, fighting with each other, criminal threatening, stalking, misuse of power, assault, fugitive from justice, reckless conduct, disorderly conduct, and public peace. We've served restraining orders on their employees. We responded to the business for disturbance between the employees and customers, and which resulted in criminal threatening, assault, and domestic issues.
I'm sorry, Chief, since what year was this, I'm sorry?
Since 2001. We've had a number of complaints where people have disputed the business practices of their towing, their rates and whatnot, but we tell them it's a civil issue because we don't tell Cast Towing or anybody else how to do their rate system. We've had disputes and complaints about people who have purchased items from him, tires or wheels, whatever the case might be, and we've had a number of complaints where vehicles were damaged, either on the property or while being towed. We've had complaints where property was stolen from vehicles that were on the property of Cast Towing over the years. We've also had reports of thefts from vehicles that have been towed there. But on the same token, Cast Towing has been the victim of some crimes as well. They've had their business broken into a couple of times. They've lost some tires and things like that. People have trespassed after hours and they shouldn't have been there. They've been the victim of criminal mischief, and at least on one occasion, they thought they had a theft from an employee. And most recently, within the last couple of months, we arrested one of their employees, who's no longer an employee there, for misuse of power and public peace. Apparently on 2 occasions, on one particular night during the weekend, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something like that, he was in front of the business, swirling his tires, racing up and down the road and whatnot. Also, the same employee, while in a Cast truck, after this, had gone to the city of Dover and Somersworth and shot out a number of windows and was subsequently arrested by those departments. And they're looking at somewhere of almost 40 counts of criminal mischief. Okay. Somersworth has informed us that a Cast truck, while in Somersworth, around the same time, the occupants of that truck were involved in a purchase of illegal drugs while in the city of Somersworth. And since then, we've been told by the city of Somersworth that they no longer use Cast Towing for their towing services because of that issue. So, I'm not sure if it's really Mo or if it's the employee, the people that he hires to do this, but, you know, there's certainly some type of an issue going on within the business that, you know, when you're looking at a span of, you know, almost 20 years, you get almost 400 police contacts with the business and people associated with the business, so.
Thank you, Chief. I should have asked earlier, does the board have any questions of Chief Ducharme or Mr. Clark?
The business owner of Cass does not live on the property, is that correct?
As far as I know, no.
So that's why he doesn't know what's happening.
Are there any other questions from the board? All right, well, thank you. I'm sorry, do you have anything else for us, Chief? No? That's
Not for
perfect,
this,
yes.
but
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so I will now open it up for comment from the public. I see Mr. Casanelli, you are here. It's your business, so I would let you go first, or your discretion if you want to go last, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'll go last.
Okay. So is there anyone else here that would like to speak to this issue?
David Arkwell, Summerwood Road. We've basically been having problems as neighbors since the first day he took over. The most recent one that we called the police on was back on September 2nd, 3 a.m. in the morning. There's people out screeching tires, racing engines up and down the road. And we called the police, and it was one of his employees. But it wasn't an isolated incident by any means. The road in front of his business is just peppered with tire squeal marks. So it's something, I mean, it's a constant occurrence. They go out of there like crazy people, squealing tires. Another one of his clowns that runs down the road and races the engine up, shuts the key off just about the time he gets in front of my house, turns the key back on again so the engine backfires. It sounds like a cannon went off. That's his big thrill. I've had his guys pull up on my front lawn. We had a few days of rain, and they pulled right up on my front lawn to see if the water was running through the culvert and left ruts on my front lawn. And just the people he hires and the people you deal with, that you're dealing with, have zero respect for neighbors. And you're not dealing with intelligent people by any means. You can't talk to them. They're just, I don't know another word other than morons. You're just dealing with morons. And like I said, it hasn't been just recently. This has been going on since the day he took over, basically. We lived next door to Chicky when he run that and never had a problem with him, not one. The recent occurrences with the drug sales and the reading in the Fosters about, you know, his trucks riding around shooting out windows in cars and homes, I think is an absolute embarrassment to the town of Rollinsford. I mean, you can usually judge a business by their employees. And I think with all that I've seen, I mean, that tells you pretty much what the business is. You're just not dealing with rational people. Over the years, I've had umpteen people that have had problems with him, either things stolen out of their cars, or got quoted a rate to come get their vehicle. They get there, and now it's gone up another $100. And they Google him on Summersworth Road and see my business next door. And they end up calling me. And I just explained to them that it's nothing to do with me, absolutely nothing. There's nothing I can do for you. I've given them the Rollinsford police number several times to call. But it's just an aggravation. I had one guy come down the driveway, an old guy was going to beat me to death with his cane. It was these guys had given him a screwing on the towing, and then he went to pick up his vehicle. And I guess he got there, when he took a taxi to get there, and got there and there was nobody there. He was wild. The other thing that just blows my mind is the $50 fee. I mean, that $50 fee is laughable if it was, it's crazy is what it is. That's probably been $50 for the last 50 years.
I'm sorry, $50 fee.
The $50 fee for the junk license.
Oh, no, we increased it.
Oh, it's not what it said on the paperwork.
No, we increased it to 50. It had been much lower, I believe that.
Oh,
I mean, that's absolutely crazy. Look at what he's cost the police department. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. That should be $1,000, and that'd be a bargain. I just paid $215 for a building permit. But it doesn't seem right to me that the taxpayers of Rollinsford should bear the expense of the way he runs his business. And he gets off with a free ride for $50. I mean, that's a joke. Yeah, I'm not as well organized as I should be, I guess. But, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years. And it's just not getting any better, it's getting worse. The quality of help that he hires just is getting worse by the day. And it's really time to do something. The towing business, that goes on night after night after night. As I said in my letter that I sent you, one night I set up a game camera, just headed it right for his driveway at the end of my property line. And between the hours of 6 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning, there were 30 trips in and out of his driveway with them tow trucks. That's all night long, in and out, in and out. And 9 times out of 10, there's no cars on them. I don't know whether sometimes they're not gone 10 minutes and they're back again. It's just, it sounds like an interstate out there at night. And these guys, they're using what's the junkyard, which is not supposed to be operational. They're using it all hours of the night as their hangout in between calls. And they were over there blasting radios, hollering to each other, working in the garage with air guns. A few weeks ago, one of them was out there with an old beat-up rubber-tired backhoe at 2:30 in the morning, running it around the yard. Or I guess it was something he had bought to fix up himself, so he figured that 2:30 in the morning, I'm out, the rest of the world should be too. And he's out there playing with his backhoe in the yard.
So,
I mean, this is what we deal with day after day after day.
So when things like that happen, Mr. Arco, do you call the police or?
You do, but you get to a point where the cops are going to think we're the pain in the neck, and you just get to the point where you can't call them every time you hear a noise. But I mean, judging by that pile over there, I think we've called them several times, and we're not alone. But it's really time to do something. That towing business doesn't even belong there. Any other business that's come into town has to go before the planning board, the zoning board. These guys just blew into town out of Massachusetts, and they've done whatever they wanted since they come here. And it's just time to set them straight.
So, let me ask you this, Mr. Arco. On an average night or an average week, how many times a week do you think that you're disturbed in the middle of the night by the business?
Yeah, I mean, in the summer, it's probably nightly when you get the windows open. During the winter, you don't notice it quite so much.
So,
But there's times during the winter, during a snowstorm, they haven't even plowed their yard. So they got their trucks stuck halfway in the road and halfway out of the road.
So you would say it would not be uncommon to hear them nightly a lot of the year?
Oh, during the summer, yeah, nightly.
Okay.
And one night, there's guys who were out back in the junkyard with a pellet gun or a .22 shooting windows out of their vehicles at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's just the mentality you're dealing with. It's not your average neighbor by any means. I mean, these guys have been the neighbors from hell.
Any questions from the select board?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Arco. Anyone else that would like to address the select board? I don't see anyone else. You want to go ahead, Mr. Cashman?
Yeah. Okay, so, getting back to Mr. Arkwell, he moved next to a junkyard. The junkyard was there before he even moved into town, and that's like industrial land. It's zoned industrial. It's like the person that moved next to an airport and then they complain about all the noise. And that's what happened with Mr. Arkwell. 17 years ago, my mechanic had a car that he put in the Halloween Owl race, and actually he won a trophy. But because he got stuck in the mud, Mr. Arkwell complained about the noise, so he came over there yelling at my son, and he sucker punched my son in the head. And then my son got arrested. I mean, this guy comes on my property, tells my son, hey, I'm gonna shut this place down, and then sucker punches an 18-year-old kid. So that's what, and then he was at the dump passing out flyers to have the place shut down. This is the junkyard. But anyways, I pay my taxes there. The taxes, I think, more than double from when I first, I'm not sure what they have, but they're over $4,000 on taxes. I register all the tow trucks to this town, and I pay big money for the town taxes or whatever it is to register the vehicles. So I don't know what he's talking about, the $50 fee isn't enough, but I am a taxpayer here. I've been doing AAA calls for 25 years, and AAA is 24 hours a day towing. You know, so for 17 years, I've been registering the vehicles there. His house is so far away from my driveway, I don't see how he could hear any noise from where his house is. It's not like it's, you know, abutting the driveway, so it's gotta be at least 200 to 300 yards away. So I think that's a little bit of exaggeration about the trucks coming in and out of my driveway. As far as hiring the help, I hire them as temporary drivers. I put an ad in the paper, on the internet, looking for drivers. These guys come in, we train them. What they do after hours, I'm not there to see what they're doing, and then I fired both of those guys. The guy that bought the heroin out of my tow truck, he was off duty. He wasn't even working that day, but he was in my truck and he went to some mobile home park. And as soon as I found out, I fired him. Both of these guys, the knucklehead with the BB gun and this other guy that bought the drugs, they only worked for me for like 2 weeks and they're gone. All my other drivers have been with me for years. Frank McIntosh has been with me over 10 years. So it's not like I have a bunch of, you know, fly-by-nighters that work for me. I don't know what, you know, when you hire somebody, I don't know what they're gonna be like. You know what I mean? I need drivers, I hire them.
AAA does background check.
Yeah, AAA does the background checks on them. And if, you know, if they don't pass this background check, then I don't hire them, I have to let them go. So I think that's about it. Was there anything else I missed as far as, you know, like, so we tow for the police, Summersworth, or snow removal, or the Dover police, landlords, when people want to come and pick up their cars, we have to give them that car. We can't say, oh no, sorry, you gotta come back at, you know, tomorrow. So if they want to get their car at 2, 3 in the morning, they call me, they meet the driver, and they release their vehicles to them. I didn't even know you arrested somebody, you said, for peeling rubber out in front of the place at 3 in the morning.
Okay. So you've been doing this for 17 years for?
From
AAA?
Rollinsford, yes, and I've been AAA for 25 years. I started back in 96.
Where, and the house that's on your property, is that a rental?
No, that's my place.
So you do live
Yeah,
at the?
not all the
facility?
time, but I'm there, yeah. I used to rent it. I rented it a few times. It didn't work out.
And I guess I'm a little concerned, Mr. Cassianelli, that since 2001, there's been 394 calls to your business. I mean, I understand that as of late, you've had some sort of bad apples that you've hired and you've had to let go, but for 17 years, you've racked up quite a few complaints from the police against your business. So I'm trying to,
Well,
it's very
I can't-
concerning that it's
I
taken
can't
17 years
control
to get
that.
here.
If there was a way I could control that, I would, but I can't control what happens if the guys are fighting, or you must be talking about Harland and, you know, the other people. What other people do, I can't control them.
Okay.
And this is
I'm
the
not gonna
first I
argue.
heard about it, was like 300 something of them. I mean, what was I supposed to do, chief?
Does the select board have any questions for Mr. Cassianelli?
I would just mention that, so if there's stated hours of operation between 8 AM and 5 PM, I'm not sure why this is now a round-the-clock operation.
Well, that's for the junkyard.
Right, the towing business is not an allowable use, Mr. Cassianelli. You were grandfathered for your junkyard. That's a residential area. You're not allowed to run any other businesses there unless you get a special exemption. So that's why we're here tonight.
Okay,
So what's gonna have to happen, the select board is not gonna make a decision tonight, but more than likely, you're gonna, as a condition to get your junkyard license reapproved, you're gonna need to go to the planning board and talk about this business you've been operating over there. Now, I'm sorry it's taken all these years, I can't speak for past boards why they did or didn't do their due diligence, but it's been brought to our desk, and we have to deal with it now. So I apologize because you weren't dealt with in the years past, but this is what's gonna have to happen now. Now, that's just my opinion that that's what's gonna have to happen, the board's gonna have to deliberate. We're not gonna do it tonight. We're gonna close the public hearing, we're gonna start our regular meeting, because we've got to work on the town budget. But I would expect you to be hearing from the town at least in the next week or two as to what the select board has decided. But I gotta tell you, after hearing from the chief of police, I'm very concerned that there's been 394 separate calls over there. That's very concerning to me. I never knew any of this. So,
I never
Neither
did
did
either,
we.
yeah.
well, okay, you know, I'm not here to argue with you, this is a public hearing, but you run a business. If you don't know what your employees are doing, and you live there, that's a little troubling to me. I don't understand that at all. I have employees, and if they did anything like that, they would, well, in fact, we have employees of the town we've had to get rid of recently, because they were misbehaving, let's just say that, and we got rid of them. I don't understand how 394 different occurrences, and you don't know anything that's going on in your business? I don't understand at all. I'm sorry, but I don't.
Yeah, all of that happens most of it at night, when I'm not there.
Okay, like I said, this is a public hearing, I'm not here to argue with you, I'm just trying to figure out how, as a business owner, you couldn't know any of this was happening at your business. It's just a little strange to me.
Yeah, well, if somebody steals something out of somebody's car, they call the police, they report it. Yeah, I knew that, so what am I supposed to do on that?
I don't know, I'm sure you probably fired the person, you probably handled it correctly.
Yeah, the police called me at 3 in the morning saying that Arkwell told them somebody's in my yard breaking windows with a BB gun. And they said, can I go in there? I said, sure, go ahead. You don't need a permission to go check it out.
It's concerning, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's very concerning for the people that have to live around it, so. But anyways, so do we have any other questions from the board's perspective? Anyone else want to speak in the public hearing? If not, we're gonna close it, we're gonna be in recess for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna start the select board meeting.
You can go right down the whole list of rules that he's supposed to be complying by in that junkyard, and there's better than half of them that he's not even close to being in line with. I mean, and that should also be addressed.
So you understand, Mr. Arkwell, it's a separate process. So he's in review to go through, the owner of the junkyard is in review to go through his license. He has some issues with the state, like Mr. Clark said, so that's been put on hold. Because of these complaints, the state advised us that we need to hold a public hearing and deal with these separate complaints, because it's a separate business that's being operated that was not approved by the town, so that's why we're here. So I appreciate your concern for the other part of it, but that's not really why we're here tonight, just so you understand. But if you want to leave anything in writing, if anyone does, we'll be happy to put it in the file and consider it when we make our deliberations. And it will be in public, so it's not like we will meet separately or secretly to talk about this. It will be in a select board meeting, probably next week, I would assume. So if you want to come back and watch it, it will be on the agenda. So you're free to leave that if you want to. So if there's nothing else to be said, we're going to close the public hearing, and like I said, we're going to reopen at 6:30 for our regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you all for coming. These all get signed?
Yep, that's well said. Hi. Miles England.
All right, thank
If
you.
you want to do that, then you can.
It's just getting off, I've scribbled down, I thought we were gonna get more into detail with it tonight.
No, it was really just about the tone of it.
Now, is this something that you'll keep me informed of as well, or like to the outcome of it, or how does that work?
It's so
I'm trying to
wonderful.
think about it. We don't have a process in place, we don't have I'll have Caroline send you an email or call her and let you know. But we won't, it'll be, all the abutters will, I don't know what that is. We don't, so we will let you know. More likely we'll send an email or a letter to all the abutters, I would assume.
We
so-
should.
So they know what happened.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, have a good night. Are you, you're here for this, right? For our last little. So, all the people that we may have just went outside.
Yeah, maybe you should just check it out.
I'm not telling you how to do your job, but the people that left were the reason, on both sides.
sure that
You
they're
might
safe out
wanna
there.
go outside.
Yeah, I would do that personally, but again.
More worried about one of them than the other one.
Alright, so we've got 2 minutes to go here. Much quicker than I thought.
Not that be more people here.
When I pulled in, I saw, Tom and I pulled in the same day, and I thought the whole parking lot was full. I didn't pull all the way up, but it wasn't, so. I was surprised. Tom, are you gonna stick around?
Yes, sir.
or- Alright, so obviously we've got a couple of things
Just
on here
checking.
then to go over, and then, I'll let you go home. One more minute before we can officially start, so. I'm hoping we can get through, just so folks know, before we get officially started, we can get through this as quick as possible, because we'd like to work on the budget a little bit tonight, if possible. But part of it, when we have the department heads here, we may be talking to you about budget stuff, just so we may slip sort of, well, it's on our agenda, so we can deal with it in the regular meeting anyways, but we may be, it may be seamless, it may seem like just slipping back and forth between talking to you about the budget and the regular agenda, so. Wait a minute, 6:30. Are you gonna be there all day tomorrow?
Not all day continuous, it'll be there in the morning and then in the evening.
busy, Tom? Apparently. A lot of permits to process and stuff.
That's one of my coworkers decided
Good stuff.
to leave.
Like leave, like the company?
He
or-
went to a different.
Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna put you on the equal, I bet. All right.
Did we pay our heating bill?
As my wife reminds me, put a sweater on, she tells me, but
I
yeah.
have 3 layers on.
3 layers on, yeah, well, I said the same thing.
It
but-
feels like the AC is on.
No, the AC definitely, the blower isn't. Alrighty, it
It
is,
is, it's chilly.
it does feel chilly though. It is 6:30, and maybe this will motivate us to move faster, I guess, I don't know. And we will open the regularly scheduled select board meeting for the 5th of November. Back Fox Day. All right, first order of business is the approval of minutes. We have the 29th of October and November 3rd, which was our, meeting to set the tax rate on Saturday morning before the budget workshop. Are there any corrections or additions or retractions that need to be made?
I didn't see the 3rd, unfortunately.
All right, then we won't do it then. We'll wait
When
on
did
that
that
one.
go out? The 3rd?
Earlier today she did it, so if you didn't have a chance, we'll just hold off.
No, but we can do the 29th.
I didn't either.
Okay, so are we good with the 29th though?
Mhm.
Well,
Yep.
okay, so we will approve and table till next week, so folks can have a chance to look at it. I don't think they're terribly lengthy, but I
Right.
wouldn't feel comfortable with you doing it if you haven't seen it. All right, community input. Is there any community input at this point in the meeting? Seeing none, department heads, building inspector, code enforcement. Tom, come on up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming early.
You're welcome.
So, the first thing we have on the agenda is the junkyard license. I don't intend to have us make a decision this evening. I think we should think about it for a little bit and come back perhaps next week and we'll have it on the agenda and talk about it. But
Sure.
do you have any, anything to add to it, or?
I think you touched on all the key points, but the important part, one of the important parts, the hours of operation, and you're right, I mean, it's something that we probably should have picked up on a long time ago, but I really wasn't, I wasn't really aware of the extent of the towing, excuse me, then versus now.
Right.
And I'm not familiar with the AAA standards or anything, so, I mean, if they do it 24 hours, that's certainly something for concern.
It's not an approved use anyway.
And,
The towing business, or the
Yes.
junkyard was grandfathered,
right, right,
so that makes sense, but.
yeah, And he did, there was, as I understand it, some towing, but in relation to the
To the
junkyard.
junkyard, right, I saw that.
They're a
Right.
whole separate business.
Right,
So, yeah, I think that definitely needs planning board consideration.
right, yeah, yeah. Anyone have any questions about the process or? Okay, so, well, we may call on you for more
Sure.
expert advice.
That's what-
Of course,
That's
yeah,
what,
no.
if in the event that we refer him to the planning board, you feel that his junkyard is completely, okayed by what the state has done and,
I wouldn't say completely, there were some small issues that he had yet to take care of as far as some screening and, I don't remember specifics, something to do with the front yard and, you know, basically the appearance. So those are things that he would have to resolve, I think, before the board just issues that separate permit
okay,
regardless. But to answer your question, there are outstanding issues, yes.
okay. Because it looks like they've had improved their outside outside of the gates.
They have,
Yeah.
yeah, they have.
But, so there's still issues, so it's not
Yes.
an automatic that it's gonna get approved because they followed all the junkyard rules.
Correct.
Okay.
Over the years, there have been minor infractions, like they're
Mhm.
supposed to have gravel, I believe, right
Yeah.
out front.
Mhm.
And he'd catch them and bring it out, and it would be okay for a while. We haven't been as hard on him on those sort of things, but there was some real serious issues of fluid being drained
Yeah.
and storage of antifreeze and things, and the state really came, and that's the state's purview really to come down heavy on him, and what I understand, he has taken,
Yeah.
resolved some of those issues. But there are still also, there are unresolved issues from the town's perspective, still.
Okay. But he's required to have water testing multiple times a year, right? I mean, they're all on wells there, all surrounding.
I don't think it's a condition of
My
use from the
God,
town.
it should be.
Well, none of us were here when this was done
Well, that's,
at least
It's an
17,
excellent-
18 years ago. so.
yeah, it's an excellent point. I'd certainly, I'll look into it with DES, see if that's a requirement.
Because, I mean, there's all kinds of fluids.
Oh.
Whether it's intentional or not intentional.
Yes.
It's still all kinds of fluids there, and everyone around him was right, is on wells,
Oh,
right?
yeah, oh, yeah, there's no
I mean,
town water.
I'm sure that his abutters have theirs tested
There's
often
wetlands
and
behind
wetlands
him.
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I
a good
just-
point.
Okay,
I'll follow up with that.
thank you.
Okay, so there's a lot to think about with this, for sure. Eversource request for Spruce Street.
Right.
Remove some poles.
Right.
So your email confused me, because I thought I did understand, and then you said, do we need to come here and discuss this?
Oh.
I figured maybe you should if I was missing something, but.
Well, this is unfortunately kind of a small one, but I was referring to the PDF that he sent, and there was just, green and red, so it's relatively minor. I mean, it's standard procedure for them to be doing this, to get permission from the municipality, of course. And the only big difference with this being Spruce Street, and these are the two new houses, this one, I don't think they might have started site work on this one. But because of those, and because of the location, especially of this pole, which is right in front of the house and adjacent to the driveway, it has to be moved. So they did their own engineering and computations and whatever, and decided that this was a solution for them. And the locations aren't that big a deal, I don't think, and the only other issue was, not an issue, the only other thing was that, the height. They're going from 30 feet to 40 feet, but that, we don't regulate the height of anything on, utility poles, et cetera, so.
And they're existing poles, they're being
Yes.
moved. It's not like with new construction, we require underground
Yes.
connection to utilities, but
Yeah.
these are existing poles that are just moving
Yeah.
over, so.
Well, and that is a good point, because this new pole in between the lot, it will be providing service to the buildings underground.
It will, we can
Yes.
run them underground from there.
Yes.
All right, so at least
Yes.
they're doing that, good.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're putting up 4 new poles.
Oh,
I mean,
no, no.
These are the ones that are there. They're
No new
moving
ones,
over,
yeah.
So when we get time, when that comes up to sign, we can discuss whether or not we're okay with it. But thank you for letting me
Yeah, oh, sure.
know. And the other thing we have to talk to you about is the camper on Prospect Street.
Right.
Still there.
It is.
And I've been by several times,
Yep, we're
day
waiting.
and night, and there's been lights on.
Yep,
so-
and I'm sure the time for the owner to respond is passed. So our procedure then will be, send a second, a little more strongly worded letter.
Right.
And then if they fail to comply, we'll just have to send it to legal.
Okay. Because we had a neighbor
Yeah.
reach out to us again and ask, what's
Yes.
going on. Denise brought it up a couple weeks ago too, right, whatever happened to that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, Carolyn mentioned to me today again, and,
Yeah.
we'll just do another.
There's a little driveway now, it looks like, in front of where they're, so there's the camper, and then there's always two cars parked in front of it by the satellite dish, and there's lights on. I've been by several times,
Yeah.
we were looking at some property in the street, so.
I will definitely.
Noticed
follow up.
it.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for Tom, or anything for us that we need to,
Not for
we
me.
probably have enough, right, so. All right, I think that's it, was there something else I was supposed to ask you? I don't, while you're here before you, no, it's not you, okay. I think we're good then,
All right, sir.
thank you very much, Tom.
You're welcome.
And we'll,
Thank you.
Sure thing.
we'll reach out if we need some more, help with the jump.
Sure.
I'm sure we will.
And yeah, if you're gonna be deliberating next week, I'd be happy to come back.
Okay.
Oh,
I-
Did we have a follow-up on the one on Rollins Road? How is that one, the one
The
that?
camper?
No, the
One
junkyard.
Oh, 112, so that was, legal has that, right? Were you supposed to go?
Yes,
You were gonna go
yes,
and take
good,
care of it?
yes. I can't remember how long ago it was, that we received, an email from Steve Roberts' office that
Mhm.
they were gonna send they were gonna, not us, but they were gonna send a letter.
Mhm.
And I guess, I don't know what happened.
There's quite a few
So,
vehicles and other
there's-
bits of debris have been removed, so.
Yeah, but there's still
It's
a
not
lot of.
100%,
Yeah,
but-
there's
Yeah.
still a lot.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning it. I'll follow up on that also. I'll check
Okay.
with Steve,
Yes,
Steve's office
perfect.
tomorrow and see what's going on.
We'd like to finalize and get that finished if we could.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been
One year
going on
list.
way too
Way too
long,
long.
Yes, it has.
way too long.
Yes, it has. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, fire department doesn't appear to be here. So, George, I like to go in alphabetical order, because I'm the guy that suggested it, but you've got a lot more than the chief has, so do you mind if we bring him up, so? Unless he's got a whole file folder full of things I don't know about.
I already,
Yeah.
I already killed one tree.
Show that enough.
I'll start with some good news.
Okay.
I confirmed today with Caroline that the town received $4,000 from Homeland Security for reimbursement for the update that we did for the emergency operations plan.
Perfect.
So the only thing that we have pending with the Homeland Security now is the repeater.
Yeah.
The $24,000 repeater and the grant, or not the grant, but the storm-related, the March storm.
Yes.
And we're finalizing up the figures for that, so FEMA
Right,
should have all
right,
that paperwork by the end of next week, so. So we're moving forward with that.
Perfect.
And we have, I think, $4,000 downstairs to turn in for
Okay.
details and whatnot tomorrow to Caroline.
Okay.
So,
Good.
I sent you folks an email last week that we had to do an emergency repair to the electrical inside the Sally Port. One of the lights, the ballast went, but the big concern was the motion sensor went, so we had no electricity in there whatsoever. M&L Electrical Service out of Berwick was kind enough to come the next day and take care of it for us. So I have a purchase order number here for number 1473 to M&L Electrical Services for repairs to lights in the Sally Port sensor and ballast for $242.
I will move purchase order 1473 in the amount of $242 to M&L Electric Service for repairs to the lights in the Sally Port.
Second?
All right. Purchase order 1473 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
So we're all good now, everything is working in the Sally Port?
Better than ever.
Not going wood, everything is good, all right.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, all right.
And a couple months ago, I was here before you, looking for permission and purchase order to replace the batteries in the AED units.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Well, I should have just replaced them all at the same time because within the last couple of weeks, the remaining two started beeping and indicate that we've got dead batteries. So out of my equipment account line item, purchase order number 1535 to Quality Response Systems for 2 AED replacement batteries for a total of $338.
Motion to accept purchase order 1535 for Quality Response Systems for 2 AED replacement batteries for a total of $338.
I'll second it.
Any questions?
No, is this something that we can't have one in stock? Is that something that you have to buy like a car, I mean,
I think we should just purchase them as they
As
go,
needed.
because we can get them relatively quick.
okay.
And, to have one to in stock, and then all of a sudden, you're spending almost $200 per battery, just have it sitting on the shelf, and that may run out of power just sitting on the shelf someplace.
Yeah.
I think it's just a waste of money.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? All right. All right.
All right, that's all that I have for you folks.
So we have on here Oak Street MOU. You were reaching out to, I don't know the new chief's name, not so
Durant.
really anymore, but.
Well, I have not heard anything back, so.
Okay. And we've kept the nuisance ordinance on there. That's what it was, Tom.
Yeah.
I was gonna remind Tom, he's gonna speak to you about this.
Actually, we spoke about it a little bit earlier
Okay,
today,
all right.
and I'm going to download a copy of the housing standards
Okay,
and compare that to what we're proposing.
right, right.
And Tom and I suggested, rather than come up with no ordinance, let's just add an amendment to the
Makes
current
sense.
housing standard one to apply to landlords and whatnot,
I think
so
that makes a lot of sense.
make it a little bit easier in the long run. So,
All right, anyone, I have stuff from Saturday to talk to the chief about. Anything else?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna make a meeting for the police building, so I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
So preventative maintenance, we are trying to get a hold of or a handle on preventative maintenance for all facilities, but you live here at the moment. Are there, and for some reason, won't get into why, but mostly because it's all around you, I think, and we didn't have anyone else to do it, but you drew the short straw. You've been really the person, the go-to person to deal with the facility management in the basement, right or wrong. You have, it's fallen on you. Are there things, are there items that you can think of that we may not be aware of that are not being maintained, or we may not be budgeting for to provide preventative maintenance? We've talked about the generator, so we think we have a handle on that. We know about the lift. We've got mold remediation. I don't know if it's under control, but we got it budgeted for this, right? So we've now been finding out about these, is it the compressors or the air conditioning units? Whatever they are. I can't remember.
HVAC system, units, compressors, yeah.
The compressors, thank you.
Yeah, those, yeah.
Are there other things that we're just not thinking
Well,
about?
I think at some point, at one time, the town, I thought we had an agreement with one of the garage door companies.
That's the other one, we do have that, yes.
Okay.
we do have them.
That,
Yep.
they do them all, I guess, at the same
Well,
time.
they don't do ours, because no one's ever come to check ours, so it was my understanding that the police weren't part of that package. And our doors are, 20 years old plus now, so I think in the future we need to look at replacing some of the doors and at least a good cleaning and whatnot of the track system and.
Right.
Also,
We need to get you part of that package.
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's good to know.
you also have to put the boiler on there.
I know we've talked about the furnace in the past.
Yeah, because my thought of preventive maintenance is like, come in, does a cleaning every year in the same, and generators, changing oil, and that's what I'm talking about for preventive
Sure.
maintenance.
Okay.
And to
The
make
township's
sure,
been coming in.
Well,
with that.
yeah, they were actually here last Friday to do that, yearly maintenance for the,
who was this?
Townsend. They did the,
Oh,
they cleaned the boiler
They do?
last Friday.
Okay, but see, I think this is the only building that they do that to. I'm
Well,
not
remember,
sure.
several months ago, we did a service contract for the furnace and the HVA system, so that
That's
includes,
part of it.
that includes the,
Ah, okay, all right,
All right.
because I don't think
Checkup,
that
yeah.
the other buildings have
yeah.
as much to look at, and like generators, like at the fire station, I don't think they've had a tune-up since they got it, so that's what I am looking to have done, so we don't have the big surprises that we had this year.
Right, yeah.
we still have old equipment, so we're gonna have those surprises, but we can help delay it,
Right.
I think.
I think in the hopes, moving forward, next year is to have someone as a coordinator. More of the responsibility of the duties of the town administrator would be to coordinate some of these,
Right.
those activities, I would think, but it really isn't, should not be your responsibility as the chief of police to be building facilities maintenance supervisor too. It's just not fair. I mean, maybe we can squeak in the generator under the emergency preparedness office, but that's a stretch too. I mean, it's still not, you know.
Well, just being the old timer, being the one that's been here forever,
Well, there's that
certainly
too,
I
right?
don't mind doing it, but,
But,
you know, until recently, we were always told, we can't do that, we can't do that, so. At least in the last several years, you know, we've been starting to do some routine maintenance and some preventative maintenance.
Right.
And I understand you do a little bit each year, and so you don't get a great big wall.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but, you know, I think you've mentioned all the large stuff.
Okay. And so the boiler downstairs, we have it on this, well, on the CIP right now, we haven't finalized it yet to replace it this year at 25 grand. I know there was an effort afoot to relocate, I know that it's still ongoing, you're still meeting and doing things, the police station and perhaps the town hall, combining those things. But even if it passed this year, realistically, it's not gonna get built for at
another year or
least
two.
another year, maybe
Sure.
two, right, when it all gets finalized, so do we think 2 more years of life out of this thing downstairs? I mean, I know you're not a magician, you don't have a crystal ball, I get that, but you're the one who's been really the go-to person down there that.
We've been lucky, it's working.
Okay.
And the few times that it did die, you know, Townsend came right away and replaced it. The biggest concern is we get the side roof blown out.
Right.
And the insurance companies mentioned, you know, you really need to do something, because one of these days it really blows, I mean, you have a potential for a large fire.
Right.
Let me do this, let me talk to Townsend,
Okay,
and I'll have Mike talk to their technician that worked on it last Friday and say, what do you think?
right,
You know, are we on death's door, do we really need to do it right now, or can it wait a year or two
perfect,
at the most, so.
that would be very helpful,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's what really the biggest thing on the budget,
Yeah.
and it really isn't your budget, so so,
Yeah.
but like I said, you've been sort of the default person.
And that's what you don't mind doing, as long as, as long as someone's maintaining and controlling the fire, so.
We appreciate you, thank you. Any other questions or items for the chief?
No.
See these?
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Everything?
Thanks again for your info earlier, it was eye-opening, said at least for me anyways. Alrighty, George. Oh, you should have stayed on vacation, George.
Hey, it is
It's
what it
getting
is.
cold now, it's budget season, it's the worst time of year, you gotta start plowing but not yet,
No, let's put the plow, leave the plows resting for a little while longer.
let's hope.
I have a PO tonight for the city of Dover for vehicle inspections and some work they did on truck number 2 on the brakes. Out of the account line of 4312707 of vehicle maintenance, $226.62.
Well, we have someone moving second,
I moved purchase order 1499 to the city of Dover for $226.62 for vehicle maintenance and inspections.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Remind, vehicle 2 is the top pick?
No, it's the international.
International, okay. All right. Are there any
And
questions?
there was an air brake can they had to replace on it.
Understandable. I'm sure they probably rust out, I can imagine.
Can't imagine anything not rusting out under the.
Well, I was gonna say, they encounter a lot of
Nature of the
salt.
beast.
Any questions?
No.
Concerns? Okay. All those in favor of purchase order 1499, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's coming out of your vehicle maintenance.
Correct.
Line. 10, 11.5. I don't think anyone wants to relive the last month. I know I don't. You get them, or you get them back, George? I don't remember.
We get them,
We keep
they
them.
stay here.
I'm just used to you sitting over there, and now that you're not, listen, change is hard. Okay, anything else for us, George? Great, well, we got a couple things for you. So Sligo Culvert, Aaron,
Called me today.
perfect, okay, so he's gonna set up, was gonna reach out to you
Meeting with him Thursday morning, I guess.
Thursday morning, okay, perfect. All right. And we have had a volunteer, the chair of the budget committee, John Ordway, has volunteered or asked if he could work with you or Ed probably actually, to talk about, well, both of you actually, to do some cost projections of work that's being done at the transfer station, and I should say highway department too, I think, actually. For around, you're on the budget committee, do you want to
Yeah.
explain it to them?
Well, they were questioning the reason why we gave pay raises out in the middle of the year. So my response was, it's because of the cost savings that you guys are providing for us. So afterwards, John Ordway
That might-
has volunteered, because he does this for a living, to kind of put it all in writing of what we've saved, and did projects of our own, and he has asked if he can speak with you and Ed,
Absolutely.
so you can outline what you've done without having to be contracted out. And then they can, give this to the budget committee as well, and to the town, I would assume, of what we're saving by not contracting. So if you guys are good with it, you'll
Bring them
just
on.
give them the blessing, but it's really more about, this is our plans, this is what we're gonna do ourselves, because a lot of things you're doing on your own. And this is the savings that we would have based on that.
So if we could just go through the list of different projects that
Yeah,
you put after
Without a
the.
problem.
especially Sligo's, so, because he knows it, his brother-in-law is in, Putnam is it?
Yeah.
I think they're related to Putnam.
No.
No, not
No,
Putnam, the one that you worked with so much on the first COVID, that they.
Oh, Aikman.
Aikman.
Yes.
So he
Just
knows what
neighbors.
you've done there, and he had mentioned that as well, so it's those kind of things that they're looking for.
Not a problem.
Okay,
Perfect, we just wanted to spring that, someone just show up and just,
yeah.
when you give a heads up.
And
Okay.
I've talked with him several times before in the past, so I got no problem in
Okay.
doing that.
So,
Very good,
only to our all benefits.
I would think. So the GMC to the top kick, so this was the topic of quite a bit of conversation on Saturday as we go through
Mhm.
our budget deliberations. We'd like to get a second opinion. The city of Dover has been very kind to us, very helpful over the years. But because it's such a large investment,
Mhm.
we'd like you to take it somewhere else and have them give their
Take
opinion
it over,
on.
Mark.
So there's, what we were thinking was Rogers Auto Body has a place in
There's-
Summersworth, right?
commercial vehicles.
Someone, a second person told me that he doesn't, and that's,
Oh, well, then we
that
shouldn't go
wasn't
there.
my
Okay.
understanding, but there's a mix.
Mix
Um,
over
and
Yeah,
South-
David does stuff for us too,
South
I can take it
Broward?
up to David or load them up, and they can look.
Wherever is closest
Yeah,
and you think
yeah.
is,
I have no problem with that.
So just get him to do a look over and see what he thinks. If it can last another year or whatever. But yeah, I guess, I thought Rogers did when they built that new place in
They're
Summersworth.
still doing car auto work,
Yep.
but they're
well,
not.
then we don't,
they're not
we
doing
just
truck
figured
mechanics.
We're trying to keep it in.
obviously, the owner lives in town and would have some
Right.
sort of skin in the game, which would be good.
Mhm.
To,
And David's treated us very good at mixed too, so.
oh, absolutely, I
Yeah,
don't, there isn't
many-
an
many
issue
people
with
here,
it going there, so.
Yeah.
But we would like to have someone else take a look at it. And it's not that we don't trust Dover, it's just a very large investment. So we'd like to have folks take a look at it.
I don't have a problem with second opinions
it's,
on anything.
It's, age-wise, it's older, I mean, it's not, it's
Right. It doesn't
younger
have
than
any
my car,
miles on the
but it
truck.
gets beaten along the way.
And I know that's gonna be a tough, but you're not gonna put a lot of miles on any of your trucks. They're gonna get beat up before they get miles on them. They're gonna die before they get a lot of miles on them.
So if there's ways that we could, we understand that the truck may not have been designed to best advantage to the type of routes and things it would be using here in town, or what it would be used for in town. Or if there's a way we can retrofit in any way, I mean, I don't know, perhaps not, but,
It's like rebuilding the truck, you know, what they did is they took the small tires off it and put big truck tires on it. They got a dump body the same size on that truck as it is on the 4700 International, you know, they did everything against what that truck was designed for. You know, so I mean, they did it to keep it under the 26,000 pound GVW so anybody
anyone
can
could
drive
use it,
it.
I get that, yeah, that's,
They could have done that with a smaller, left it as a smaller setup like most of the towns around did,
All right,
and got the benefit of that.
all right,
They took
Hindsight, I
that
suppose.
small truck and made a big truck out of it, and
all right.
it does shorten the lifespan.
Can you explain a little bit about what you've experienced? I know we talked about it in depth at our meeting, but like going up on Mechanic Street
Yeah,
and.
I mean,
and
the
it-
truck is two-wheel drive for one thing, which we don't have a lot of places in town where you need four-wheel drive, but if you're downsizing the truck, you gotta have a truck that's able to
Right,
push a plow and climb a hill.
right.
And that truck's not a downtown truck, because it's a smaller truck. I mean,
So that's my other question, I'll let you finish, go ahead.
the sander on that particular truck, and that's the way it was in the past, and now they have sanders that are designed so the sand comes out underneath the truck, so it's salting ahead of your wheels.
Oh, okay.
And it's all inclusive in the dump body. It's,
Oh, really?
it's one unit, you're not having to take the sander out so you can go haul snow, it stays,
Right.
it's all part of the, that's what we're looking at.
Interesting.
The new truck, if we decide to go with another truck, we're looking at an all-wheel drive, because you do have some pretty good hills, like coming up from the Legion, trying to climb that hill and plow,
Right,
climbing, you're pushing 20 feet of plow, if you count in the wing.
right.
So, that other truck, you're spinning the whole time, and you get, you're not making that hill in the first try a lot of times, you end up backing up several times, so, that becomes an issue. The power of the truck, just doesn't have the big enough engine, because it
Right.
was designed to be a small truck.
Right.
There's so many flaws. I'm not saying the truck ain't gonna last another winter, I'm not saying the truck's not gonna last another 2 winters, I'm just going on what last year was supposed to be replaced, and I decided, let's try it a winter, and I wanted to see how it lasts. We had a hydraulic failure in it, we repaired that ourselves. That's only the beginning, you're gonna start having stuff like, that.
Right, that we understand, so I guess maybe I was misunderstanding, so for the most part, structurally, we believe the truck is in fairly decent shape, it's just,
Right,
it was not designed to do basically the job we wanted to do.
it's got a little bit more equipment on it than it needs for the size of the truck.
So if we wanted to try to sell this vehicle, what do we think we could get for it?
That I couldn't tell you, but they said the company that we could sell it outright,
Mhm.
you might get 20 grand, 30 grand for it, I'm not sure. The truck would be ideal for a trailer park.
That's what I said, I told them the flat
Something
one,
flat,
flat,
Something
yeah.
flat, you're not gonna be climbing a lot of hills with it. I mean, a lot of these small contractors that plow, parking lots and stuff like that, that
Right.
truck's ideal for that.
Mhm.
There is some value in the truck. It's not, you're not gonna put it up for auction. I wouldn't even suggest it. I'd get a good person to look at it that sells trucks
Right.
and see what it's worth.
Well, then perhaps we don't necessarily need a second opinion then, because it's not structurally deficient,
Well,
it's not mechanically deficient, it's structurally deficient.
Well, he
It's
did
different,
indicate
right?
previously that it has some rust to it.
No,
And,
it's
you know, some
it's
other-
not rusting out, but there is,
Yeah, but-
that's what happened. The
Yeah.
hydraulic system rusted out on it and stuff
Right.
like that. So God knows what's gonna happen down the road.
Underneath
All right, well, I
too,
mean,
so.
Maybe it's still to our advantage to take it to someone else.
It doesn't
And
cost to
second
get a
opinion,
single-
and
does it
David
cost?
sells trucks. He might give us a value of it.
Right.
I can ask that, both ways, not just a,
Well, that might be good to know too.
It doesn't cost to have a second,
well, if they're gonna go over the
They're
truck,
gonna, there'll be a.
they're gonna be
there'll
a charge for going,
for-
how long it takes them to go over. They're gonna give you an hourly rate, there's no
Okay.
question about
Oh,
that.
I'm sure it'll be
I
at least a
think
couple
it's
$100.
worth
so.
But
Well, I
it
mean,
is
it's
definitely
certainly
worth
probably
looking into.
better to
Yeah.
spend a couple hundred
Well,
and
and to
not have to spend
Figure out how much
160.
it's worth,
Get
yeah.
a value of it.
If we can get, an
With
idea.
all the equipment on it, if it's not worth it with the equipment on it, some of the equipment wouldn't hurt to have standby.
Okay, so that's good to know that. So if we get that information, that would be helpful.
Yeah, well, I'll make arrangements for that tomorrow.
Sooner the better, probably, if they're able to.
Oh, he'll get it in for
What else do we need? Oh, we have, in the highway department, in the, maintenance line for the building, we have an extra, I think it's
Is that building
2020,
maintenance?
yeah, building maintenance.
you. Bring that
Can we
back.
take that back down to where it was?
Yeah, Bring that back, then we're doing all that
I
stuff.
guess it's because you were doing that in-house, you don't have to have, okay, perfect. That's good to know, so we can take care of that on Saturday too.
Yeah, you can take that 25 grand, you can put that right back to where it was. I wouldn't go any less than that, because you never know what's gonna come up,
But we can take it back to the previous year.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
And we talked already about his preventive maintenance items from Bridgeways Highway and Transfer Station, so we have that list. of
You've got your
items as well.
heater and things like, we've got the list.
Yep, we have the list, so.
It's a gas boiler, so they were in it, serviced it last year, that's good for 2 years. Gas boilers can go a little longer than you can on an oil fired burner. You know, you go get a couple, 3 years out of them, but 2 years on that side building, stuff like that, so I wondered that.
And he's also on septic, which we hadn't done for years, so we need to keep a
Yeah.
regular routine on that as well as fire
Right,
department.
and that was,
Keep it.
that was close.
I can't believe the fire department made it as long as it did.
I know.
But, like, you know, it did, thank
Yeah.
goodness. One other thing, building maintenance, transfer station. We'll switch gears just for a moment. It was brought to our attention on Saturday that there's a desire to have some buildings and things like that to house recyclables. I saw an email earlier today, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it,
It's, yeah.
about like those
Storage containers.
containers, yeah.
We,
Is that an option, a viable option?
for the time being, we're not wanting to do the recycling per se. We
Okay.
need a building over the recycling to keep the snow out of them when we.
That much I understand, but there was supposed to be a Quonset hut to
The
store.
Quonset
recyclables,
hut would be
right?
to put the tires in because of mosquito.
Right.
You know. But we came up with a temporary idea for that. Eventually down the road, a Quonset, we don't have to have a Quonset hut next year, you know.
Okay,
That's not something we have to have next year. The building over the recycling is what we're looking for next year.
That was like a wooden
Wooden
building that
structure.
you would construct
Sorting
yourself.
bins, you know.
Yeah. And I
okay.
understood you correctly that if we took those Jersey barriers and you were gonna put them to separate your different
That's
products,
correct.
right? Okay, I was right.
Off of Sligo, I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, if that goes,
If
if we do that. then
decide to
yeah.
go that route. But that would be to help, that would just make our barriers to sort, and so we can get in there with a skid steer and not damage the walls and stuff.
And what did we think it was gonna cost to do that?
$6,300, but barrier.
How much?
What, to do what?
No, to build your shed, it was
Oh, the building?
12,
You're looking around $12,000.
yeah, 12.
That, you know, I mean, there's things we can do, if we just get the roof and stuff up on it, and we can still use the can, we're trying to keep the snow out, because you're
Right, I
paying for snow
understand
weight.
that, Right.
So if we can get a roof up over the building this year, or whatever, you know, next year, if we have the Jersey barriers and we put petitions in there and stuff, that's what we need to do.
I don't believe it would be able to get on the schedule for this year. Next year would be a little more realistic, even then I.
You know, I mean, it's stuff we're gonna do ourselves, it's not something
Right.
we're gonna build, have somebody build, it's stuff we can do, we just gotta get, you know, we gotta dig the holes in the ground, get the pillars.
We have a threshold, anything over $10,000
I understand.
goes into the CIP, so it's gonna be,
And capital, and the capital item.
that's what I mean, so it's a
Yeah, yeah.
capital item, so it
Yeah.
would be a separate warrant article.
And the
Right.
Quonset huts were for the tires and the
And
appliances.
appliances and keep
Together,
them.
one, to put them both in together, but you're
That would
gonna
be
temporarily,
the cement structure that's already, the barriers that are already with it,
Yeah,
with it, you know, tires and stuff that's
Right.
stored now. It's just put a Quonset hut over that to keep the water out of the tires and
Right.
keep the mosquito. For the time being, we have the extra compactor bin
Mhm.
okay,
that, when they bought I guess they had 2 bins originally with the first compactor, and when they bought the new one, they got an extra bin with the compactor.
okay, yeah.
Well, in a year since I've been there, now that we have 2, they swap them out, so we're not adding that third one in the line. We can actually open the doors on that and store the tires inside that
Oh, okay,
for now, and that'll keep the water and stuff out of them.
perfect, okay,
So we're just gonna move that over to the tire area and store the tires in that for now.
okay.
But, you know, ideally down the road, you're looking at, you know, eventually probably put a Quonset hut and keep all that stuff undercover, so it's, I mean, like the refrigerant and stuff, they gotta come and take the refrigerant out of them, and then we are now gonna take them to,
Right.
and have them get the
That's-
money.
So the scrap,
We can
right, right.
benefit from the scrap.
right.
How many tires are you getting?
Last time we had, it was a truckload we hauled out of there, and that was only once since I've been there. So,
Okay.
you know, that's why that container will probably, you know, it's just,
Okay.
the state laws about
Yeah.
mosquito-borne areas and, you know, water gets in these things, and we're taking these classes and we're finding out things that probably shouldn't have been happening for a long time, and again,
Yeah,
you know,
You could stop taking classes.
I'd be more than happy not to go to class.
well,
But there is state laws out there that we need to follow.
yes, and if
And that,
ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
and I
when we
think
get
that would be
things,
more
so-
expensive than us not doing things.
Right, I would imagine too. All right, well, that's all good information to have, George, thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? I don't think that was
You're
it
posting roads.
from, oh, that was it, thank you. Glad I didn't say that. Thank you. So you had mentioned, George, talking about posting some town roads for weight And I was thinking some more about that, since the last time we talked. So, I'm trying to think of what road, you wouldn't be able to do Jesse Doe, because all that commercial traffic that goes
That
back
would
down.
be one that's
right?
out of the question.
Right, so all the other roads though are state roads, right? that
No,
are
I'm talking
usually
about your,
Maybe
the
found.
local roads.
Right, but I'm trying to think, there aren't a lot of local roads that you would see heavy vehicles going down, right?
You wouldn't believe it.
Okay, so this is what I'd like to, can you,
Clement
come up
Road?
with, Clement Road. Can you come up with a list for us?
Sligo Road,
Okay, not right now, but come
no,
up with a
I'm telling
list,
you, I mean,
come up with a list of them for us so we can consider
I
it.
think for the benefit of the town is we ought to look at Dover's ordinance on 26,000 pounds or over.
Right,
Should not be allowed on the road unless it's local deliveries. There's no reason not to.
so we do have a bus company in town that, I
They
don't,
don't traverse those
well, I don't
sidewalks.
think they do either, but I just, I wanna make sure that, and, or Clearwater, all those companies are down, I just wanna make sure that we're not,
No, I mean, the only time, they sneak across Foundry like anybody else. But you're still running heavy trucks on these roads and
well, Foundry, I was actually considering that, that's one of the roads I thought we
you are,
should be doing.
you are beating the roads up.
But, I mean, Second Street, Third Street, Fourth Street probably doesn't
But
need to.
I'm just saying, an overall ordinance of 26,000 pounds or better, or under, unless for local deliveries, that eliminates any problem. The state roads you can't control.
Right, well, that's just it, so I wasn't aware that they were cutting down, Foundry as well, so. I thought we had posted Foundry when we did that. It was just Bear Road that we did.
I think it is just Bear Road, and then they still run over that. But at least if there's a sign, if it's posted, they can get nailed.
Right, exactly. Okay,
But I honestly believe, I mean, seeing the construction of some of these roads, the
Right.
more weight you
Well,
put on them, the faster they're gonna deteriorate.
yes, clearly there were different standards at different times.
And that was probably everywhere, but it was, you know, the time it took, some towns have gone and upgraded them roads in the past. It's just taking time to get to these things.
For sure.
And, you know, and I noticed it in the front of the fire station, like I told you, when we dug it up and fixed that, so, and then we put plenty of gravel in there, so that should slow it down.
No, we
And that's-
appreciate that, we really do.
That's done. We striped it
Did you
today.
strike it today? I saw that.
Oh, really?
Very good.
It was dark by the time I got home, so, but I'll
But,
take a look at it maybe tomorrow.
You know, it is what it is. I mean, that's just a thought on the roads.
You do believe every single road, every town road should be, okay.
It does not hurt to have it, you know, if they do it a local delivery, they're there for a reason.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Okay.
if it's written as an ordinance saying no trucks over 26,000 pounds,
All right.
except for local deliveries, that covers the law. Your oil trucks are gonna be over 26,000, they gotta go
But
on
they're
the
there for
road, but
local
they're doing
deliveries.
it, they're not just using it.
School
They're not
buses
just
that
hanging out.
heavy?
Okay.
But they're gonna
Empty
be
or
local
loaded,
deliveries
depending
as
on-
well, right? Okay.
We did discuss this at the highway traffic safety
Oh, good,
committee
okay,
meeting.
yeah.
Chief Ducharme did warn that we can't just throw up a sign like on Route 4. It's not our road, so
Right,
posting this ordinance might become problematic because
okay.
a lot of the roads in and out of town are state roads.
Right.
Almost every one.
Oh, just about.
But, yeah, no, I don't disagree.
I think we can contact the state and have permission to put an advertisement entering our town, at each entrance to the town, saying that all local roads are posted with the exception of these state roads. I think if it depends how it's written, they might, you know, legally have to look at the legal side.
All right, so we would work with the highway safety committee anyways. You're on that, right? So, you're both on it, so,
Yes.
all right.
So,
At least the fire chief, I think, has to, or he has a representative.
There is a representative
So-
on board, yes, there is.
Anyway, so we have that covered, so it would be good to bring it back up there then, George, so
I don't know if we have enough.
we can bring a
Yeah.
presentation, rather a recommendation to the select board then, that would be good.
Only meets every couple of years from what I can tell, but
Maybe we can get it on the agenda to meet once more in this day, how's that?
We can bring this up.
Okay, all right, perfect. Do you have anything else for George? I don't wanna keep you longer than you need to.
So I will get
Anything for us?
No,
Okay.
nothing else on the budget you need answers
I don't
to?
think so, well, you know what, while you're here,
Sit
why don't
right
we
here.
ask? Why don't we ask while you're sitting here? I don't think so, George. I think, uniforms. No, we took care of that, never mind. We took care of that.
We put that increase to cover the insurance.
Oh, you're gonna put the insurance.
So that we took care of.
Yeah,
Highway,
They-
no, we finalized
They
highway.
get
It
you
was,
every which way you want it.
it was just anything in sanitation. Yes, but it wasn't on you, it was on Lamprey. We're waiting on some more information about, tipping and
And we
hauling.
split the uniforms between both departments,
Yeah,
correct?
we and Kristen, yeah,
Yeah.
they show them two separate ones,
No,
but we
you're-
increase both of them.
We're good with you, George, it was all capital for you, that we needed information on, so you'll get us that info on the truck.
Yeah, I will get
We're
that.
hoping we can finalize everything on Saturday, do you think he can get it?
I can
Before
get it in this
before
week.
that?
Yeah, it's.
Depends what he has for.
Right, well, fair enough, I get that. All right,
And he can give us a ballpark what that truck's worth.
that would be helpful
Yeah.
too. But I'd really like to know what condition and
Yeah, I'm not-
crystal ball out and
Like you told the chief, we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know how long these trucks are gonna last.
just need
Just what I was told.
best info possible that we can get.
What I was
so.
told when I started here, and, you know, past guys that have driven it and stuff and seen it, so.
We appreciate that. All right, Jamie,
Have a good night.
Have a
Thank you,
good
you
night.
too.
Chief, come on up, down. Up or down, whichever way you wanna go.
Yeah. I don't really have, I came in because if there was any questions or anything, I don't really have anything for you per se.
Okay.
Although I do have this, it has to go to Caroline, whoever passes in folders.
Sure, we can just throw it on top of this one.
Yeah, I'll show you pictures.
Bring it up.
It's all stuff that doesn't need POs and whatnot, so. she
Okay.
can
What
take
we
care
got?
of that
I
for us.
don't think,
Fire pond.
we have the fire pond accessibility on Moses' car, I think we probably settled that last week with you though. We need to come up with a decision as to what we're going to do with fixing the standpipes, so we can just keep that. Do you have anything, you got anything new to add, do you?
No, we were kind of, last time we had a discussion, like if that way you were gonna do CIP and exactly what the tax
Right.
stance was gonna be, then my suggestion was if we're gonna do it, it's a CIP issue, we should add to.
We're gonna talk about the abatement, because we have, finally had the information from Avatar in our folder, we have to talk, that's separate from the chief though. It's still, well, while you're here though, it's still useful to us. It's still,
The pond.
it's still
we can
useful,
get to
whether or not the
pond and we
standpipe is fixed or not, it's still,
Yes, we still have, we can still utilize that should we have an incident out there.
so.
That, we did go through that and made sure that that was something that we could handle, so we're good there.
So are you going to look into fixing or adding the standpipes in the locations in which you mentioned, or wait?
Well, I can get you, what, a ballpark figure maybe to add one of
Mhm.
those.
So we could put
On
it into a
either spot.
CIP or whatever?
All right.
Take
Yeah.
care of that part.
Because we had talked about 2 or 3 different locations, right?
Yeah, just two, like one down at the Legion
Legion.
boat ramp, and then one up on the other side, up by where the hydro plant is, up in that area.
For a
And then
brand
to
new.
fix the one at Levin, whatever his name is.
Lavin.
Levin's, to fix theirs, right? We're responsible,
Yeah, I guess
right?
my
Yes.
thing would be, I would be to add a new one, not even spend.
Well,
money to
add a new
fix
one.
that.
But the mill was really the priority, wasn't it? You said
That would be the,
you thought.
if I had to put it that way, that would be the number one,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Just because you know why.
But I think that's, I don't know if that's ours, or we, something we'd even claim, I always thought that was Pellerin's issue that is located on there, I don't know. I do not know
We
the
may
status
have
if that's
a-
ours or not,
We may have a right of way,
yeah.
that's what we had for the, what do they call it, the end fall, or whatever the heck it's called, the dumping into to the river from our
The
stormwater.
inflow and all.
Inflow,
Yeah.
outflow.
Yeah,
So we have a right of way, for that, but, so we may for that as well, I don't know.
I remember the spin-off of that, cause that was one of those 3 projects that you did last year or something, when it
Right.
came to
So we should
fixing
talk
drains
to
and stuff, so I.
Ryan about that.
I can't imagine that he would have any, just, I mean, any gripe about it. I mean, it's
No,
only
no.
gonna benefit his property.
Anytime we-
Well, no, but it's,
Seriously.
who's supposed to maintain it, and
Oh.
I would,
Oh.
I don't know, we'd have to look at the deed, and it'll be on there if it says there's a right of way for the town for this outfall and for the standpipe. We know obviously that it's ours, and
Yeah,
that he wouldn't need a right of way for his own property, right?
we
So-
run into him regularly, he's always been super supportive of anything the fire department needs, so I'll pick his brain on it and say, this is what we wanna do.
I'm sure I'll see him, we'll see him tomorrow too, and
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to have a general conversation with him about it,
Yep.
beginning of the talk.
Yeah, just start the process,
Yeah.
and go from there, see where it carries us, yeah.
And I think, where are you? Oak Street MOU, or do we have anything else you want to say about standpipes?
No.
Okay. Sounds good. Oak Street, were you still looking to talk to the chief over in?
I have,
You have already, so we're good with you?
Yep.
Okay, and Caroline has your your suggested changes that you wanted to see? Okay, then we should have taken that off then, I apologize.
No problem.
But the ambulance, while you're here, let's switch gears and go back to budget for a moment. We had some questions and concerns about the ambulance budget from our meeting on Saturday. And I'm looking at you because I think you had most of the questions. You remember what they were?
My own question was, what is it, 37,000?
36.
36,000, that, what exactly is that for? Because if you're, as a resident, you're required to pay the difference if your insurance doesn't pay it to York. So,
Yes, I do not, I'm not gonna,
I mean, it's just.
talk out of school on something that I not know on their billing practices.
Mm.
And yes, they were 32,000 for the last couple of years, they held that price. And then when you guys were building the budget, I went over and talked to them, and I had found out too, it was gonna go to 36. You know what that is? That's just what the town is paying for them to be able to respond to what, you know, our requirements are. It's such a gray area, because I don't have anything on the fire department side of things. I think I've kind of been overseeing it more by default, only because it's kind of something that I do have some practice with, some
Right.
skills in. But there's nothing that I know of that's actually explained exactly what the ambulance service is supposed to provide, other than picking up people for medical emergencies and doing what they're supposed to do. I mean,
So you had mentioned you were gonna speak with them and talk about trainings that they may offer
we do
as
that.
part of our contract.
We
with
do
them.
that, yeah, we've done that almost bi-monthly with them. They come over to the firehouse and we do trainings with them on, that's one specific topic that we'll do.
But I think it was more of you reaching out to them and seeing if they would do like CPR classes for like the
Yeah.
rec department, that sort of thing, or whoever else, I don't know. who
Yeah,
needs it.
somebody needed some, because I know
Right.
we've done some of those, and then we
Right.
had a hard time getting personnel to do it, so if it popped
Right,
up,
right.
I'm sure that's something that Brian over there would help us with. But again, it's just,
It's just to have the ambulance in the physical vehicle where it's housed and the staff, right, to come over. I think there's nothing else. I don't think there are any other sort of like fringe sort of benefits to go with it. I think that's just it, right, for the 36.
that's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, if if there was that, you had the 36, you could, have some sort of contract, and you could include that in there, that you will provide this, and you will
Right.
provide this, and you will provide.
Well, are there
this.
things that you wanna see in there? Because they're gonna send us a contract before we.
Well, those are some
Obviously.
items that I would like to see. Between their trainings and what we do as a group, that's just more of a courtesy thing, but I think that's
Okay.
something that you should be able to provide.
Right.
6 training sessions a year to the fire department and let them pick the topics. We normally do, we'll do backboarding this time, or we'll do choking issues, or, extrication, whatever it's gonna be.
Right.
But I think that's almost something that we should probably have in some form of documentation, so
Okay.
that they do live up to that kind of
I
contract.
thought Caroline said that there was some changes that you had recommended to be changed in the contract.
I had mentioned some things to Caroline, other than that, I have not.
Well, we
talked
haven't
to her.
seen anything
We
yet
haven't
from
seen
them, so.
anything.
I've had no contact or anything spoken with the York representatives at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
But we should have Mark at least review the contract before
Yes.
any of us sign it as well.
Yes, I agree.
And if you have any changes in that, would be the
Yeah, I
time to
can,
do
I
it.
can.
You wanted
do that,
some
'cause I've
additional
never, I've
reporting
never seen
from
one
the-
at any point.
Neither have I.
Since I've been,
Yeah.
this is year 6 or 7 since I've been in this seat, so it's like, probably something we should look at, just to be a little bit more involved. It's a gray area, it's like they're their own entity, and they just kind of do what they want. I think if we're paying that kind of money, we should have a little bit more control and understanding what they're trying to,
I think we all agree with that.
what we
We
require.
wanted to see additional reporting as well, right?
Well, I would think you should have some sort of inclusion as far as what their responses are. I don't know how many times they're in town.
Yeah.
Start getting some of that data available to the community, so you could use that down the road for other various things, if you want to change, contractors, because basically that's what they are. And I know all you gotta do is blink an eye, American will be again throwing that zero budgeting line at you again. I know they will in a heartbeat, but we all know why that's never flown. But there's also other things that are out there floating around. Paul Rabias, who used to, we kind of started American Ambulance,
Yeah.
he is separated from them.
Oh.
He's left, and now he's got another group that he's trying to organize and kind of filter his way back into the ambulance service again, so. And I've heard that talked a few times, that, maybe they have their sights set on our community to come in, and it's like, But I also know there's a lot of people that are in this community that don't particularly care for Mr. Tobias. So there's that friction, but I know that's above and beyond what any of us in here would need to worry about.
Yeah, I don't know him at all or have any axe to grind with him.
No, and I don't either for the most part, but
It was always about response times.
that's all it was. That's our main concern is response times. It's all about response times, and they're 8 minutes away. And
He wants to build a garage at the end of Clement Road.
there you go. So
In
why
Harvard
don't
Free,
we
I would
build one
think-
on the end of the fire station, put an ambulance in
Or
there?
if we do that too, I think we'd probably say, yes, come on over, but, right, it's a much different story when he's coming over from Wild Lake, so.
Yes.
York has people on site
Mhm.
24/7.
Yeah,
Yes.
Southborough.
In Southborough.
Yeah, in the firehouse.
Yeah.
They have
Oh,
their
it's
own
in the
bay
firehouse.
in the
Their
firehouse.
own bed.
Yep.
So it's Rollinsford, York, South Berwick, does Elliott use them as well? Or do they have their
Kittery
own?
too.
And
Yeah,
Kittery.
but not from South Berwick.
Not from
right?
South Berwick,
No.
but we're all
The-
part of
They
this
have
sort
their
of.
own
it's-
station down
But
there.
they move trucks
Right,
around, if they get a
York
whole bunch of
Ambulance
calls from
Association.
Kittredge, they'll send this truck down there.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, like if they get back-to-back calls in Kittredge, they're not gonna turn anything down.
No. no.
And so when that happens, their next recourse is they bring in mutual aid.
Right.
And it's either Dover
Mhm.
or Frisbee comes in,
Mhm.
AMR will come in, American will come in.
Mhm.
And it's like, they've had issues where they're pushing the limit a little bit more than they should as far as not their coverage, not staying
Does-
with their
So
coverage.
is Dover the only department, in Durham, I guess, or McGregor? Are they the only two that have their own ambulance corps?
In
Or
this
service
area.
within the department?
In this area.
Everything else is private?
Yeah, Frisbee runs it up in
Or
Rochester.
nonprofit. Right.
And that's how McGregor runs it over there for Durham, but if you go down, you
Oh.
know, Dover has their own within the firehouse, and you have to go further south, Exeter does their own that way,
Okay.
Portsmouth does their own that way.
Right,
The bigger communities do.
right.
But
I knew
McGregor's
Portsmouth did, but
private,
it's just.
isn't it?
What's that?
McGregor is private, isn't it? Yeah, they're not
100%
part of.
private.
They're private, they're not part of the Dover,
No,
Durham.
not
No,
part of
no,
Durham.
they're their
Okay.
own entity.
Their own entity, yes, they are. They've been that way forever, they struggle to keep that, but they're still
Right.
got their head above water.
Okay.
I also would like to see their whole budget and see what percentage we pay versus South Berwick, too.
Sure.
You
When,
know.
when we first had, when they first came to us, when they reorganized
Mhm.
as this new nonprofit, they did do this presentation to the board, and they did show us what, I don't remember at this point, but what was the percentage that we would pay versus South Berwick and Elliott and all the other towns.
Mhm.
It would be beneficial, I think, to have them come and do that presentation again.
Mhm.
We've been asking them though for months now for this contract, and
Mhm.
we finally got a dollar amount, was it last week or the week before last, so they have not been. They're a volunteer board, right, that has not been equipped to respond, I should say that. And I would say they're non-responsive, it's that they're just not very quick.
Yeah, you wanna see it in a more timely fashion,
Yeah.
for what you guys need to accomplish,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't have a number, and I had to go over and kind of beat on them for that. And it was a little bit while before they even gave you that, and
Right.
they haven't really given you the full package yet, so
No.
it's like,
We don't have a contract yet.
Right, exactly, and we need to, at this point, I mean, I think we're, I will say this, I think we're pretty much stuck, for this year at least, I don't see us.
it's just a one-year
able
thing
to-
this time, right?
No, it's a two-year
It's a
contract.
2-year, but it's
Two-year
contingent
contract.
upon funding, so. But it might be time to look again into whether their options are out there.
Yeah,
Maybe they still are the best option, I don't know.
no, I agree.
To me, it's,
Doesn't hurt to look.
It's not a lot out
paying
there.
nothing is very attractive. But, you know, is someone's life worth $36,000? Probably, you know, versus paying nothing and they're not getting there in time, I don't know. So, but that's how, what we erred on that side the last time, and that was, it was unanimous, so, but if we're not getting the level of service, and we may be, but I don't think we know really, if we're getting the level of service we expect.
No, and,
or-
I mean, I don't know either, because there's times that we'll go on calls with them at night, in the middle of the night or something like that. I guess I'm spoiled, because I came from someplace where it was 24/7 paramedic coverage, they don't provide it. They don't have the, the qualified people, and the manpower to fill that. So there'll be times when they show up with just two basics, I have more people with more qualifications in the fire department, and sometimes that ambulance shows up with their skill level.
Alright.
So they're just drivers at that point?
Just a basic EMT pretty much.
Okay.
But I have guys that are advanced EMTs and paramedics that are on the fire department. And that's where it gets a little gray, because if there's something that somebody needs to have done as an advanced, those guys really don't have the ability to say, yeah, jump in here and do it, because they're only basic. If they're at the A level, the advanced level, then that would be fine, they could cross over and they could work with them under their licensure, but you can't do it as a basic. So there's a little bit of, well, we're gonna do it just because somebody
You're gonna
needs
save
it.
someone's life, right?
Exactly.
So in the event that you, because most of the time you know what the call is, in the event that it was a heart attack, and you know that they only have basics on a Sunday night or whatever night it is, wouldn't you call mutual
Of course we
aid
would.
from Tokyo?
I know right what I
Okay,
would call.
all right,
But I don't know that till you get there. I
even
don't-
though that it goes out
I don't-
occasionally and says that what the call is for?
Yeah, I know what the call is, I know what the nature of the call is, but I do not know what the ambulance is bringing over to answer.
Oh, you
that.
don't know what the ambulance is bringing?
I don't know what their
Oh,
qualifications are
I see.
on a daily or shift to hourly basis, I don't know that until they come
Sure.
in. I know the majority of them,
Mhm.
but when they come through the door, there's still some facers, and they still bring in some per diem people from other agencies that work to fill in their open spots. So I don't always know that, so I say, what level you at?
Mhm.
Oh, we're both basic. Ding, 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 you wanna send, the
Yeah.
next door neighbor over here, 'cause we need them now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the first things, that's not only me, but the other officers, it's like when they show up, find out what level of care they're providing.
well, they also
And
need
if
to
we
be
need
part of
more,
their
we'll call.
contract to tell
Right.
us. If you don't have a paramedic, the contract needs to say, we will tell you before we head out, we don't have
Right.
paramedic on duty.
Right. And
I
that's
mean,
one of
that
the
way,
reasons I
then
like
you can
about
make
that.
another call,
Yeah.
and they can both respond.
And you know, it's not
Right.
only us that should do that, if they're coming to that, they should be initiating that on their own, and shouldn't have to wait till the fire department gets there.
No, I'm just saying,
Right,
contract should say, if you don't have level paramedic
yeah,
for a call that requires it,
We're
they
still-
must call us.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
So
there you go.
then you
Again,
can-
there's a
you can-
contract issue that you would have to
Right.
address.
yeah.
There's still issues with them, even the Southport Fire, where they've switched to Sanford for their dispatch. There's still some feet dragging being done there, and I've already had numerous conversations with Sanford Dispatch. You need to do it this way in order to get the fire department dispatched with the ambulance.
Mhm.
Right.
Sanford doesn't understand that yet. It's coming,
Mhm.
but Sanford runs their own ambulance too, so they understand that part. Apply what you do there to this scenario here, and
Mhm.
everything will be good. But it's a slow process.
Yeah.
And sometimes we should have been started much sooner than we have been. It's just like, oh, really? And some of that's a spillover, the fact that their ambulance never went with Southborough Fire.
Mhm.
They don't do medical aids in Southborough Fire. So there's that, trying to fill that gap on our side. It's getting there, just slow.
Interesting. All right. Any other questions for Chief?
I have one. I've been trying to get a preventive maintenance program to go on, and I would like to ask if you could review what you have in the fire station and give me a list, so then we know what we have to address for preventive maintenance.
On
Like
what?
yearly, like furnaces, like
Oh.
septic, like, I don't know what else you have.
Building maintenance.
Building maintenance, you know,
Okay.
your doors, you know, I think you're part of George when he has his, right? You're part of that
The
contract?
town had a contract, but I don't think it got renewed.
Oh,
We had it for like a year or two, and each department paid their portion, basically
Yeah.
dependent on how many doors you had.
yeah,
Mhm.
And this last year, I got the numbers from Caroline, and just tell me so I can put it in my budget.
yeah.
And it was past the point where the contract was not renewed. So I don't think there is one for doors right now.
Oh, okay, because George doesn't know that, because he told me there was, and then we found out tonight Bobby's not part of that either. So, yeah,
So
so
we'd like
that's
to
what
get
we're
that
looking at,
renewed.
that's why preventive maintenance kind of looking at.
Because that kind of came from the fire department. We started that a
Yeah.
couple of years
Definitely,
ago.
yeah.
Because we got so many of them, they're
I-
so old
yeah,
that we
this
always
one,
have an
yeah.
issue with the thing. So, it was like $700 or $800 for our annual.
Yeah,
But if they come in and took care of everything, it was more than worth that. You have one spring leg going, you're $1,000 right there.
yeah,
Plus their time, so it was beneficial to do that. And, well, Bobby has what, one door?
two, I think. No, I thought we had two, maybe
One on
one.
that Sally
One on
port
the
down
Sally
there.
port.
Just one of the
That's it, I
Sally
think.
Port? Oh, okay, yeah,
You know.
Yeah.
And I
but he
got
was
the-
just asking
I
that,
got the 6 up there, and George has got what, 4?
yeah,
Not counting the transfer station, if it includes any of those, so.
so we definitely should be looking into that.
Yeah, it was Haley Door we had it with, and I just think it kind of just drifted away.
Who was
And
it
then-
with, Mark?
What's that?
Who was it with again?
Haley Door.
Haley,
Haley Door Company.
the other is your generator, has that ever been serviced?
Mm-hmm.
It has?
Yep,
Okay, how often does that get serviced? Do you know?
it's not annual, but something that should be done.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're
Yeah,
gonna do-
yeah, well, the boiler's done every year, the generator's another thing that we should have taken care of. There's not a lot of other stuff outside of that.
We wanna make your septic more than once every 25 years.
Yeah, he probably has two, actually.
When was the last time that was, actually, last time it was service
wasn't
was
bad
on
a
because
couple
we,
years ago.
well, we were trying to fix the floor drains.
Mhm.
And they came in and they ran one of their snakes in there and it wouldn't go past where the tank truck is parked because it's a kind of a dry well on the other side,
Oh, yeah.
on the baseball field
Yeah.
side. And then while all that was being done, we had an issue in the bathroom, so they did the same thing. That actually got pumped. But it was hard to find that because nobody knew where it was, but we
Oh, I
finally
know.
did find where the septic tank is. But there's a dry well where all the floor drains go into,
Oh,
from way, way, way back when.
Wow.
But they don't always flow there because I think that the pipe that leads to that on the baseball field side has been crushed, damaged, deteriorated, whatever. So that's something that,
somewhere
maybe it's
down
something George helps us with down
Yeah,
the road,
maybe.
down the line to try to dig it up
Right.
and find out where it is. But, yeah, there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah, so if you
there's
can
no
just-
answers to.
Yeah, if you can just kind of maybe run me down a list of the things, if you think of something else that you know of that I'm not getting. So
No, I
wanna
can poke
kinda,
around
like,
and the
get them
things
all
that we
into
take
the,
care of. Yeah,
get them all on the list. I didn't know your furnace was done, so that's good.
yeah, every year we get that done.
Good.
Well, Caroline knows that because it goes through Townsend.
Good.
So I
Yeah,
know,
that's what Bobby said too.
I know George does his and he takes care of this building, so that gets an annual service.
Good, that's good to know.
Yes, that I do know.
Okay. I
Perfect.
just wanna make sure all of it starts to.
Me too,
Yeah.
because usually there's some point during the year where we have them in there because it's not running right or.
Yeah.
It was last year that the one in the new bay, it just deteriorated and due to lack of maintenance.
Mhm.
So they had to hang a new heater up.
We have a lot of assets that we need to make sure they're working.
Yeah.
Yes, oh yeah, I understand that.
We're talking strictly building, no, not trucks.
Right, no,
Strictly
no,
building,
yes.
you know, so.
Trucks
We
are
know
all
that
good.
you're-
Truck
we know
is
you're
your-
on top of that.
Truck is your,
That's
Trucks
on
are all
our-
good.
We know that,
That's one of the last things right there, was all the last inspections and services, so they're all up and 100% ready to go, so we're good.
good.
We have anything else for the fire chief?
I wanna thank your department for putting out the tree fire on Bear Road on Saturday. Quite surprised about on a dog walk and saw a tree in
Free
flames.
on fire?
Oh, yeah.
It was on the power lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ignited.
Yeah, they were there.
They were there.
Well, they came out around 4, and typically it's quicker, they were there till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
By the time Eversource
Really?
had gotten there, and that's just, there was a little bit of a miscommunication. We get, for any storm, we get notification from Eversource, and we have a priority list on how you grade your calls.
Sure.
For them to be able to respond
Yeah.
to them. And this one should have been graded a little higher, so they'll get here a little quicker. And I will say right out of the gate, I embellish it a little bit so they will get here. Otherwise, you wait a long time in this town
Amazingly-
because we're not a priority.
Yeah.
So we kind of work on it to get to that point. But if you have fire, it's a main road, it's threatening a house, it's
Yeah.
threatening other issues, we can get
Yeah.
them there that much quicker.
Right.
They gotta know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Amazingly, we didn't lose power until they had to untangle the tree.
The tree with
Really?
all the water.
Yeah.
Really? Didn't it burn down and drop? I mean, didn't it?
Now it's
It
smoldered.
hung up in the wires.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it was, there were flames.
Oh, yeah, that, I heard.
Yeah,
that.
the tree was energized,
Was
nobody
it?
lost power,
Bear
it
Road.
got down into the ground. So you live on Bear Road?
Yeah,
Yeah?
so that was at the Carmer's house, 2 doors down,
By Cushman?
next to the Cushman's, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember that, I like to know where all you guys situated. So I know where I'm going, who I'm dealing with, it's the proper thing to do.
Well, we hope we never have to see you professionally.
Me too, but you know, those things do happen, especially on Bear Road. That's,
Yeah.
that's good for 50 calls a year, Bear Road, that's just the way it is.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay?
Have a great night.
Very good.
Have a good night.
Town admin, all right, so the bookkeeper clerical support applications, we have
Holy.
quite a few of them.
Yep.
Caroline has come up with a spreadsheet for us to review. She's going to go over her point system that she's assigned to each applicant, which I think is gonna be very useful to me tomorrow
Okay.
while I'm at the polls. So it won't be a complete waste of a day.
What time, do you have a time set?
What she said, whenever she comes down to vote, she,
Okay.
if it's not busy at the time, she's gonna sit down and talk, and then if it is, then she'll come back, she said, so.
Okay.
But I'll be there, from 7 to 9, I've gotta pass out ballots, apparently. So whoever was supposed to do it is falling through, so I'm the guy that passes out the ballots in the morning,
I
so.
won't be there until
Yeah.
after work, but I will be there.
Okay, and you're gonna come down when you can get after you
Yeah.
leave? Okay. Alrighty, so the select board will be represented anyways. So, anyways, the point is we have a lot of applicants, which is wonderful. Not all applicants are created equally, so
I'm not even having any accounting experience.
some of them have absolutely no accounting experience,
Yeah.
yes, so they would not get many higher points, from for the rudimentary knowledge I have of the scale. So, but she's gonna explain it all to me in detail tomorrow. But, the good news is there's interest, so we will see. And hopefully we can have, a list of, folks for next Monday that we can start vetting. And so, anyways, that's good news. Budget planning. So we've got quite a few answers tonight to some of our questions. I don't know, the biggest items we have outstanding, CIP, which we still have outstanding questions, and George is going to work on them for us. So we can't really take that up tonight, because we need to wait on that. The other really big thing we're waiting on is, we didn't finalize government buildings because we wanted some of that information tonight on preventative maintenance. I think we got some of it. I want to know about the garage doors though, that contract. So I don't really want to take that up if that's all right until we get that information. And the other we did the fire, right? Other big thing we have outstanding is sanitation. We're waiting on those numbers from Lamprey, we haven't received.
Well, I'm gonna be working on the tonnage stuff at,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow at the,
So we can't really take that up tonight either. So
no,
I guess this is my long-winded way of saying that I don't think we can really
Work
take
on
up the
budget
budget tonight because we have
tonight,
some outstanding questions that we need answered on, we will have the answers for on Saturday, though,
yep.
which is a good thing. And the quicker we do it on Saturday, the better, I think. Unless there's objections, we'll move on then. The Budget Committee Secretary posting is not so good. We haven't had a single person apply. So I would suggest we might want to look at the posting again, repost it, and put a dollar amount in.
It's on Indeed, or?
Yes, I
think
believe
so, yeah.
so.
Indeed, and the Municipal Association has a post board that we can post to as part of our duties.
I think it went out email-wise to the town.
To the town as
Yeah.
well, too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what the dollar amount was that we said. We talked
I
about
thought it
this.
was 11.
I think
No,
so
was
as
it
well, right?
11?
It had been 10 and change, 1071 maybe?
1061, yeah,
Something
something
like
like that.
So I would suggest we post it, when we, repost it rather, when we were working on the budget, was this one of those positions that we raised up to $12 an hour? Or was that
No,
only?
that was.
That's only planning and
planning
CBA,
and
right?
CBA.
Because of the added responsibilities. All right, so I think we should, we didn't put a dollar amount in the last time, so we should put in, up to, depending, up to $11 an hour, depending on experience, or something to that effect. Have Caroline repost it? Is there any objection to that? All right, so I'll let her know, where is it? Because they have meetings coming up soon, so someone's gotta take the minutes. It's not fair to ask a member of the committee to do it because they wanna be participating. And it's hard to participate while you're sitting there taking notes. All right, so the newsletter, we have a newsletter, and I've had a chance to look over it earlier today. I think for the most part, it looks great. I know there's a couple of small issues. I want to rework the SB2 section, in the second paragraph. I want to change the second sentence a little bit. Oh, no, sorry, the third sentence, my apologies.
Oh, I should ask Mark about the fireman.
Yeah, I was
Shoot.
just gonna say that. And the other thing is, the Rollinsford Explorer post, we might need to cut that. And I think though, the only other thing I could think of, Salmi, it looks
Well, you're
great,
gonna
first of all, was,
Mike?
yeah,
It needs to be printed tomorrow.
okay, so, we'll do some wordsmithing in just a moment, but I didn't wanna forget. The only other thing was, did we run by the town hall hours, the clerk's hours with the clerk? It says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday 9 to 1 asterisk, closed Fridays, July and September, was she still in holidays?
July through September.
That's what I meant, yeah. Is she still intending to do that? Do we know?
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, I'm not arguing for or against, I just wanna make sure that we have it in here accurately. And I think that was the only thing, Denise found the thing about the fire explorers. We can find out in the morning though, I think.
I can call.
Unless, do you know, what Dave know?
Yep, I'll call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask our colleague to call a member that she knows slightly. She's gonna phone a friend on the fire department and ask real quick. So let's do some wordsmithing. So where it says, the first deliberative session is scheduled for 9 AM Saturday, February 2nd, 2019. This is the closest equivalent to town meeting you are used to. I think it should say, this will be your opportunity to offer amendments to the proposed operating budget and warrant articles, much like you would have at town meeting. I think it's, I'm gonna say, do you want me to
You're
write it
gonna
down?
have to go a lot slower.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
This will be,
This will be your opportunity to voice your opinion and offer amendments that all say the same.
mhm.
And that's it. That's the only thing I thought needed to be changed. I thought it looked good.
So, just adding opportunity, really, taking some out.
Yeah, it wasn't a major change. It was a,
Hey
This-
Kev, it's Denise Knowles. Hi there, I just want a confirmation, we're talking about the Salmon Falls quarterly that goes out with the tax
yeah,
bill.
I need to give
And you
it.
need to
Yeah,
confirm that the
I see,
Explorers are no
about
longer,
the inventory
active, is that
taxable
correct?
property.
Mhm.
We're
So
also
you want that taken
eliminating
off?
No.
okay, thank you very much.
You have
Okay.
to decide.
Bye-bye.
That has to be number one.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
done.
okay.
They're done, so we need to take that out.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I suggested, Denise, just so we're on the same page. That we change, this will be your opportunity to voice your opinion and offer amendments to the proposed operating budget. Just take
Okay.
that, this will be your opportunity.
Okay,
I think it just flows a little better.
okay.
Other than that, the only other thing, so we're gonna take out the Explorers, where
Mhm,
my
mhm.
mind is. That's unfortunate, that was a great opportunity, but it is what it is. I love the yay less paperwork. Is there any other way we can,
Or you're not gonna be changing anything around.
no, okay, I'm not, it's perfect right where it is. This is the layout, that's fine, you know what, we're at the 11th hour, I don't wanna change your layout then. Is there any way we can just make it, can we bold that entire sentence? Just so it just feels like it gets lost down there. Or it maybe
Well,
won't
why
fit, I
don't I
don't know.
bold that inventory of taxable property?
Perfect, okay, just so it sort of pops out a little bit more.
Yeah,
Perfect. So folks,
You want it in caps, like the transcript? transfer station stickers?
If you think it will fit,
Yeah, I'm not positive that it will.
if not, maybe just make it bold so people will
Yeah.
just do. Cause I know when I looked at it online,
Oh, well, online.
granted it was on a screen, so it kind of,
It wasn't,
but, I don't know, do folks think it doesn't get lost? I don't know, at the bottom of the page, I mean.
what?
I just pulled it if you could.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was, very. I couldn't get that one to change anything.
Yeah,
You
this,
show
I
it
think
to
this
us.
looks good.
Maybe, so it says, as of 2019, comma, inventory of taxable property, and you've got the number of the form, which is good. Could we write inventory of taxable property, and that's PA 28, but then write forms are no longer required? Will fit in anything, the word forms?
Yep. Okay.
That way, 'cause I don't know if everyone will know, if they think the inventory of taxable property and they see forms, maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe it will jog a little bit more in their minds. I mean, I don't even know if people will even remember, but still, it's good that we add that in there. Is there anything else in here that we think needs to be changed? Again, thank you so much for putting this together. I think it looks great. I think you did a great job getting a lot of information on a page where it isn't too overwhelming. And it's nice that we have all the community events and things going on. It's nice. I'll give folks just another moment to take your time.
So November 17th, all of this stuff is done?
Yes.
Oh my god.
November 17th.
Busy.
It's a busy day that day, huh?
Well, busy weekend, actually. It's half of it is weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, some of it.
Like studios
Yeah.
and
Is that-
the
Our dinner's on
town map resources show. But then the rest of it is just the 17th. It's a big weekend.
That's great.
Yeah, actually, so the Jazz H soiree, the Arts Dinner, that's their theme this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to buy a table and we're not gonna be here.
Oh.
So I know Suzanne and I usually buy a table together and then folks sit in it with us. If anyone wants to buy a table with her, I'll reach out to her and let her know because I can't go now, so I feel bad, but we're gonna be out of town. But, other than that, I think it looks great. You have any changes, Denise?
Mm-mm.
Miles, we good?
I think we're good,
All
yeah.
right, we'll put it to bed. Thank you, Salman.
Okay,
Did another great job. Appreciate it.
oh, boy.
What?
Well, I was just,
Yes.
I was going to the printer after I walked in the morning,
Yeah.
but now I'm going
You
to
gotta
be
go.
at the
You gotta do
Legion
that thing
because of
for
Wendy's
Wendy.
daughter.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, fire pond abatement is in one of our folders, probably for signature. Mr. Loudon finally know what the decision will be. I hope.
No, not in mine.
This was just checks.
Oh, it's in the red folder, hopefully. I didn't see that one sitting there. Let's hope, let's hope, let's hope. Should be a letter in there, I hope.
How about that, all the way at the bottom?
Okay. Awesome. All right, so Chad got back and had us some information for the abatement. There are, find here. Okay. After a meeting with Mr. Lever discussing the fire pond easement and subsequent research and confirmation, I recommend lower the condition of excess acreage to 50 due to wet an easement to town fire rescue. Furthermore, I reviewed the conditions placed on the many garages on the property and find that the contributory, easy for me to say tonight, value overstated due to size and an already attached garage. I recommend lowering all garage conditions to 100. I'm sure that means something, it doesn't mean anything to me. The above adjustments correspond to a revised value of $794,100, which represents a difference of $52,200, for which I recommend an abatement be granted. So basically it's saying there's the fire pond, there's the wetlands, and the garages that the assessors that went out and looked at them assumed that there were people living in them, and they're, after actually going over and looking at them, there is not anyone living in them, there are just garages for whatever he has, maybe a boat or something, I don't know. So Chad said they over assessed the property, so it should truly be changed, so our, we would owe them then a check of $1,279.20. And I suggest if we're going to do it, we sign it tonight so we can send it out, so that the new amount goes on to the tax bill, so we don't have to get penalized, the town doesn't get penalized with additional interest. If we're gonna grant this, we need to do it tonight, so we don't get penalized any further. But we are allowed to discuss this if we'd like to. If folks have concerns about granting anything.
Can I see it for a minute?
Of course, yeah, sorry.
Lowers the tax bill by 1,200. I mean, I know we owe them 1,200.
Yes. Well, it would be probably less than that because of interest. I didn't look to see if it's broken out by
Okay.
what the amount is and what the interest amount is. It might be on the last page. I have to look and see.
That'd come out of contingency or some other such.
It will come out of the general fund somewhere. If there's money in, yes, if there's still money in contingency, it would come out of there, but if not, it will have to come out of somewhere else within the operating budget. I guess the easy answer is yes, where it should come out of. My thoughts are that, I mean, at first with the issue of the pond, and it was a requirement of the subdivision moving forward. I mean, they obviously purchased the property with it on there, and the understanding that it was a pond for that purpose. Mark tells us that the standpipe isn't operational. That's really the town's fault, because the town didn't maintain their standpipes. That they were, clearly it's not theirs, the owner, the Lavins, because there's an easement, there's a right of way for the town, right? So we should have been maintaining these. We can add that to the laundry list of things we're supposed to be maintaining that we may or may not have known about, but we do now, I guess. And he can still draw water, he said, from it. So it's an operation, that's why I want to know, is it still of use to the Rollinsford Fire Department as a fire pond? He says yes. That's the bulk of it, and that's the biggest piece of the abatement. The other piece is the smaller, minor piece of them not knowing that, yes, there's not like an apartment complex in their garage. There are other places in town where there are, but apparently he's not one of them. So, that's just my thoughts on why we would probably want to grant this.
So went from 846,300 to 794,100. Yeah.
Of the assessed value, right.
Yep. Okay.
So that would be equal to 52,200. Any thoughts?
No, my only concern is that we don't know if the other people who have so-called fire ponds are getting abatements because of them.
Correct.
That's a concern for me. But
That is also something that I mentioned when I was told that this had shown up today. Well, we would be seeing it tonight, but I believe that the onus is on the owner of those properties to be asking for, when they get their assessments, to make sure that they're getting an abatement for an easement on their property. I know if I own a piece of property, if I owned, God help me if I ever owned the giant piece of property Mr. Lavin owns at the end of, whatever it is, Moses Car, I would be looking for every nickel and dime to save too, because it's a huge piece of property. And I would have been asking about it. I just recently, now this past summer, looked at a piece of property here in town. It's got 6 bedrooms in it, but they're only listed as a 3-bedroom because there's no heat or anything up on the 3rd floor of this house, so it's not finished. So, to which I said, looked at their tax card and said to myself, well, it's a beautiful house, but they're being taxed on these 3 bedrooms that don't have any heat. I don't understand why they never asked for an abatement. So really, it is on the property owner to be paying attention to these things. It's not up to the town to, we send the assessors out, the assessors do the best they can, and if, sometimes they make mistakes, which is why you should always let the assessors in your house, take a look. Because they look through the window and they think you have granite countertops and really they're Formica. And it happens. We've had lots of people come tell us that, so. So I don't know, if anyone else has any more to say, we should certainly say it now, and if not, we should probably sign this and get this taken care of, because I don't want to pay these people any more interest than we already have, so, personally.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement.
Denise, what do you think, before I sign it? Well, we're all gonna sign it, actually, so.
We all have to sign it?
If you are not in agreement, you do not have to sign it, actually. It takes 2 people to grant the abatement. So I'm gonna put my signature on it, I'm going to pass it around, and if I'm the only person who signs it, then they don't get it. Not that passing the buck. But that's how it goes, I mean, we all hang together, so we don't hang separately on this one. I do have to sign the letter, though. That way I sign on my own. Okay, lucky. I'll go this way first, I'll let you have more time to think about it.
This is AHR's recommendation.
Correct, that we send that off to the property owner. I should have said this too, we don't have to follow the recommendation of the assessor. That's what we typically say.
Well, I don't feel qualified to assess it on my own, so.
You don't have to, really, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I just hope that going forward, if we have someone who approaches us, we treat them the
Yeah,
same.
oh yeah, of course we should. And that's, I don't have any relationship with, I don't know these people.
No,
I mean,
I didn't imply that, I was just saying, we just have to make sure it's documented that that's what's
Yeah.
happening. So
If,
that we know
if people have these on their property and they've been assessed for having, I don't know, waterfront property, I don't know how, I mean, I was laughing at him a little bit, I kind of feel bad at him, because I shouldn't be laughing at the man, but, I mean, I grew up on the other street that's connected to this, and I've always gone around the circle on my bicycle when I was a kid in much better shape. And it's like they have beachfront property because the entire front lawn of this property just floods. And it looks like there's a lake there, so, I don't know, certain times of year they probably have a lot more water in that fire pond, but anyways. Okay, so that's taken care of. Bus stop on the Upper Mill, do we want to discuss that or do we want to table for now? I haven't heard
Have you said
from
anything?
the, no, I emailed Judy, yeah. I'll follow up with her. Well, I'll see her tomorrow too, but I'll email her. Rec, any
No
updates?
update, I'll
Okay.
email Dee and get an update.
Table that then. Board member activities and updates, what do we have going on this week?
Tomorrow we have to get town
We do, we have
elections
elections
and
tomorrow.
Saturday, that's all I have.
That's enough, isn't it?
Yep.
That's enough.
And I have, historical committee on Wednesday, I think. I think it's Wednesday, right in this very room. My phone would open up. I don't think, and last Friday, I forgot to mention to you all, I had a Stratford Regional Planning Commission meeting, but I don't have any technical assistance committee, but there's no update to really give. It was about scoring of projects, that doesn't have anything to do with us, actually. If we ever get on the, actually, no, that won't be scored either. I was gonna say the Portland Ave project, but it wouldn't, that's gonna be a 10-year highway plan. These are for federal grant, Slow to find it, open it up. I think it's just historical committee on Wednesday, and I think that's it. That seems like enough to me. All right, building permits. You don't have to get stuck with both of the folders.
I don't know, they just were all here, so that's okay, I got it. So we have two burial deeds, deeds for burial lots.
Mhm.
Do I have to give names or? do
So
I
I
just-
think what we
just
usually
have
do,
to-
we go, we have deed of burial lot number NT
Oh,
18-10
okay,
to the Baroder, I think they pronounce it, family, BRODEUR,
yeah.
in the amount of $350 for 4 lots, which is a mouthful, but- and then we just sign it.
4 plots, not lots, 4 plots, right?
Total cost of a lot, yeah, 4 plots
Yeah,
in a
okay,
lot.
In a lot, 1 lot, yeah. All right.
Well,
Four graves, 1 lot,
1, yeah,
$350.
but it's usually 175.
For 4?
But they turned in 2.
oh yeah, I have another one, but it's a different name.
These people are buying 4 more, and it costs $350. How much is a lot?
It's usually 175.
Per lot, per plot?
I know it's 150 on this one, for 1.
Maybe it depends on where it is.
I don't know, I leave that up to the cemetery trustees, I don't know.
Hmm.
I do not know.
It's awful cheap.
Oh, check and see if it's cremation versus burial.
Let's see. In section L102003B, I haven't any idea.
Hmm,
I don't know.
we have to.
I've never second guessed the cemetery trustees and their selling of plots, so I'm not gonna,
We all have to sign it.
we all 3 sign, oh, well, all right, yeah, we'll come back to you, so.
Yep, and so then I have another one for $150 for 1 cremation area. NT 18-09.
I didn't look down there.
No, 350.
Read that again, the number.
NT 18-09.
This
Okay,
is
got
just
it.
a transfer of
Thank you.
space. Because it says, they're- look at the note in the very bottom.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
350 perpetual care paid in 2002 for lot 12-021D, transferred to lot, transferred to the lot that was just purchased, so
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't,
this isn't actually, it says that this purchase of 4 graves, total cost of lot, $350, so really they're just transferring the perpetual care? Okay, well, that's what it says in the note anyway, so that makes more sense. All right, well, so it says something different up here about the notes. Maybe this is just boilerplate that they use up here. I don't know. So this one was for a cremation lot?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
for 1.
All right.
No.
number.
Well, that's,
Building permit 2018-110 for, on Kelwin Drive for 155 rooftop, a solar rooftop. Approved by Tom Clark.
so 2018-110, 13 Kelwin Drive, 155 has been reviewed by Mr. Clark. All right, so we will.
How much money?
155.
$2018-111 Kelwin Drive for rooftop solar for $115, approved by Tom Clark. Different address, right?
They're both the same, both 13 Callan Drive.
They're both 13?
Yeah,
This is two separate.
One's for the electrician and one's for the contractor. There we
oh,
go.
sorry,
No, no, that's okay.
missed that one.
That wouldn't be one permit.
No, we got more. Anyway.
Building permit 2018-109, 24 Cricket Lane for a storage shed, value of $2,700. The fee is $55. Tom Clark is approved.
Right.
Building permit 2018-105, 464 Foundry Street, Town of Rome. Oh, it's the garden club, they're having a, shed put down, and they don't get charged anything, it's not applicable, right?
They're a town
Entity.
committee
Yep, yeah,
that-
so, yep,
we don't typically charge it, so Mr. Clark has reviewed it at least, so
yes,
that
he has.
we know where it's going, so it's,
Mhm.
they're putting a new shed in. That they've clearly raised money for, the value of the shed is $2,200, am I right? So we could, it's on town property, so we wouldn't charge.
Building permit 2018-108, 546 Portland Avenue, electrical for, I'm assuming detached garage, DET, detached, is
Yeah,
that
I
right?
think so.
Okay. Value is $2,000, the fee is $90, approved by Tom Clark.
Right.
Building permit 2018-016, 644 Silver Street. Build an 8-foot by 22-foot farmer's porch. See plans and email the details. Value $11,000. Fee is $135. Tom Clark has approved.
And what was the number on that one again?
2018-016. Occupancy certificate. Oh, we'll
Yep.
sign that.
And what's the street number?
Silver Street, right?
644 Silver.
6.
Certificate of occupancy 2018-020, 80 Roberts Road. Tom Clark has approved.
So the certificate of occupancy for 80 Roberts Road, been reviewed by Mr. Clark, and we will approve it unless there's objection. That's $50 fees on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Correspondence.
All right, correspondence. We almost got there.
Oh, that's me again.
I know, that's why I
I don't know why I have.
Miles is supposed to have that folder, but
Miles
that's
wanted-
okay.
All right, here, Miles. I have to still sign here.
Yes. We try to divvy up the work. Oops. But I don't know, they
I
all
need
get
to talk to the
dumped, they all
girl
get
who
dumped in
plays
front of you, sorry.
Letter for you to sign,
No,
to
I need to
Gail
sign.
Ann St. Hilaire. The select board approves, the St. Mary's Church Fair, to be held on November 17th.
Because as part of town ordinances, people that want to hold fairs and things like that, they have to approve all the select board.
Is this new? I already did this.
Is it old?
Well, listen, you were apparently in violation
Apparently I
of St. Anne's
was.
Guild over there, so.
No, I mean, when I did it for Friday.
Oh, the fire department, well, I don't, yeah, no, it's like
Wow,
a hawker's license, because they'll have like apples and things.
wow.
It's- I'm sure it's a state law that requires it actually, so maybe we just come up with it on our own. But of course, we would grant it, I don't know why we wouldn't.
Exactly.
And
Oh,
wish
that's
them
really
luck down their fair. What is it?
It's
How much-
2 weeks.
One of those things is coming up
Yeah.
on the 17th, that I'm gonna miss.
One of those things I've done.
Okay. So there's a letter looking for your signature from NRRA, Northeast Resource Recovery Association. This is delivering glass to Waste Management from New Hampshire tree facility. And I guess this is just confirming membership in that
Oh, it says
association.
okay, yeah, so, there was a different place to send the glass. It was cheaper than going to,
$35.
Wakefield, so it's $35 a ton, so because we get a cheaper rate because we're members of the NRRA. So we just have to sign that says we are in fact members of the NRRA, so they can give us that rate. So if there's no objection, I'm going to sign off as we are the member.
None here.
All right.
That means we pay for the glass rather than get money for the glass.
Let's see. Let's see. The Waste Management of New Hampshire Tree Facility host site will accept mixed glass, jars, bottles, containers from NRRA members that meet specifications. Let's call them ahead of time, let them know, weigh full containers at host site scales. All incoming loads will be inspected at the site in Rochester. Sole discretion. Once inspected, the loads can be dumped in the glass pile site, scan or fix. NRRA members delivering to the host site agree to take back an equal amount of crushed material to the amount of uncrushed glass deposited at the site in the event the host site does not have a use for it. NRRA will invoice members at $35 a ton. Oh, if they had to take it back. That's what that is. Call us if you have any questions. So it is not a new fee, it is, well, that's all the letter says anyways, it's just a new site. But to be able to deposit at this site, I guess it's, we have to be members. That makes sense. Members delivering to the host site will to take back an equal amount of crushed material to the amount of uncrushed glass deposited.
We have to take back crushed glass?
If it does not have a use for it in any 1 year, it needs to be removed from the site. Okay.
They were gonna use that.
They were gonna take it to use to mix with gravel, so, for paving projects, so I think they do want it, so, all right, well.
Next, from Health Trust, authorization for Caroline Kendall to, for secure member portal access. Needs the CEO's signature.
So every year we have to sign off to say that Caroline is authorized to access the portal on our behalf to coordinate coverage for our covered lives here in town, in our group. So, is there any objection to her continuing on doing it?
Nope.
What day it is. Okey. Anything else? That
That's
it?
good, that's it.
All right, community input?
They got people.
I had a question on the newsletter. So
Oh, yeah.
would you be able to bring it in on Wednesday? They have to have it on Wednesday in order to.
Yes, Wednesday I can't, but I actually in Concord in the morning, so I can do it Wednesday morning.
Okay,
Where does it need to go?
somewhere in Manchester, I don't know
Oh,
where.
it's going to Manchester or Pembroke?
Wherever that mailways is.
Same place I went to last time?
Yeah.
All right, then I can do it, yes. I don't wanna drive to Manchester first, but Pembroke is next door to Concord, so yeah, it's not a problem. Or Allenstown, I think technically, but which part of Pembroke, I think, so.
So I think by the end of the day,
On Tuesday? We'll have it?
tomorrow, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping,
Okay.
and you'll be here tomorrow night, so
I'm not, well, I won't be here, I'll be,
well, there.
I'm not going anywhere until after the polls are closed and the ballots are counted.
So I will figure out a way to get it to you. But you have to get the envelopes as well, and they are here. I don't know where.
Well then. Are we sure about that?
Yes, I
Okay.
was told today.
Oh, all right, well then they need to figure out how to get it to me then. I'll be happy to ferry them over there, but,
Yeah, I'll tell Caroline.
okay. I will be a captive audience of one at the Legion all day tomorrow, so.
And I had another thing, Denise, why didn't you write a policy about, like, the abatement? When people have abatement requests, they'll all be treated equally or something.
I think that's already the standard, that everyone is treated equally. We don't have to, we don't have different standards for different residents for whether or not we grant abatement based on the facts of the case of the property. It's more of in the hands of the company that we rely on, right? It's not necessarily us saying that we're not gonna.
I guess if two of us don't sign it, then it is case by case, but no, I agree, people should be treated.
For sure. I don't know why we wouldn't. But people come to us for abatements, we don't, that's the standard. The municipalities don't go to other people looking to grant abatements, people have to come to us to ask for them, so.
But if they don't know that somebody else is getting that, that's I guess my point. And we know that there's others within town,
Fire ponds?
yeah. So, I don't.
Any other community input? Seeing none, we're going to adjourn by consensus at 8:20, and we will see you all, that's not right, 8:21. See you all tomorrow at some point. The polls are open from 7 to 7 tomorrow evening.
It's 9 on Saturday.
Oh, yes, and let's not adjourn it, and then we will meet again at 9 o'clock in the budget workshop here on Saturday.
It's not a select board meeting, it's just a straight.
Just a straight budget, unless some, something cataclysmic happens, we have to.
Very subject to change.
It's always subject to change, but yeah. I'm not planning on it, just want to finish the budget. That's all I want.
We should be able to wrap that up.
I hope so, but you never know, these things creep up, you know, you can't control it. These people get a call from some of the department, they, oh, by the way, I want to add another $200,000. We gotta tell them about it, so, I don't think we gotta keep it to ourselves.
I don't think I am.
Aren't you lucky? Asking, we should have a serious conversation with this hero.